questions.
I'm pretty impressed with myself with that.
I
Guys, you
love
know
it.
what? Tomorrow we're gonna have a wild debate. Yeah, I want to make that announcement before we start here. Tomorrow we're open to the public. Archer versus Joby, live debate. Doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, completely free. Just join us in on X Spaces. We'll be streaming it to YouTube and X. But yeah, my name's Liam, one of the hosted brothers here. Got my good friend Dylan beside me, and yes, we've brought on the mighty Matan and Anthony straight from Matan's channel. Guys, make sure you check Matan out. You cover primarily Horizon Aircraft, is it?
Horizon, a little bit of SCWO. People also know me for. I also like Aduro, and I actually, full disclosure, do own a little bit of Archer. It's maybe 2% of my portfolio. And I do have an option on them right now, a bullish option on them. So full disclosure, I do want Archer to do well, but I research a lot in the eVTOL industry, and this is one of the companies that I am after just some comparisons of what others are doing. I really like less what they do, and I am becoming more and more of a bear, and kind of that's what I'm here to argue. I will say, first of all, that was an awesome intro. I did not expect that. I was laughing the whole way through. That was really funny.
Nah, do you know what? I was bored. I haven't been making as much videos lately. Do you know what? When you burn out a bit, and I was just having a bit of fun one day, and do you know, Grak, now you can make videos and that, and I thought, do you know what? I'm doing Archer and Joby fighting each other, and then yeah, that came out of it. But Matan, great to have you on, guys. Do go and check Matan's channel out. Anthony, my guy, you've been here from very early on the channel. You are a big part of Matan's channel. Do you want to give a bit of an introduction to yourself?
Yeah. Let's see. I'm computer illiterate, so my opportunity to spread the HOVR message, I really appreciate Matan. That guy's really good with computers. And so if you ever need any computer help, hit him up because he's pretty good with the keyboard. Yeah, I look the sector. Like I look at the sector. I like Hover for reasons I'll probably tell you about. Because I figured if we're having because you guys were gonna have an Archer debate, but it's kind of hard to debate Coca-Cola against Coca-Cola. You know what I'm saying? How you gonna debate Coca-Cola against Coca-Cola? So we gotta have something to compare it to, right? You know, so I figured throw another wrench in the ring on that, and I know a little bit about it. That's why I'm kind of neutral. And I did look up some stuff online, and I thought that was kind of interesting. And I could ask you guys that stuff, and then you could give me your take on it because I don't know the answers to these things.
No, well, I want to welcome you on the channel. Fair play to you, Anthony. But you know what? It kind of take me back. Matan rang me the last day. Do you want to do a bull versus bear? You know what? You're brave, my guy. But yeah, we'll do it live. This is going to be myself and Dylan versus Matan. And do you know what? Anthony said he's sitting on the fence a little bit. He doesn't know whether he's a bull or a bear in Archer Aviation. So we'll let him chip in on both sides. Matan, you challenge us. Go on. Go with your bad case.
Sure. I mean, there's a lot of different things. Where should we start? Let's start with the most important thing. Who's at the helm? The CEO, right? Adam Goldstein. I guess, why do you guys like Adam so much? I'll tell you my just quick approach to how I look at things. I really like if the CEO is showing that they're doing the right things, and also that he has experience To me, Adam is doing a lot of the wrong things, pivoting and having, spending a lot on marketing and, kind of trying to build this whole facade versus actually doing the work. It matters to me less about getting LOIs and all these non-binding deals, whereas opposed to someone like Brandon Robinson and Hover, operates more in the shadows and actually is getting stuff done. And the biggest thing with that also is he's a Silicon Tech guy versus Brandon Robinson. He's a pilot, aerospace, an engineer. Like these are the types of people that actually know what they're doing when it comes to physics. And Elon says it best. I like how Elon Musk says, all laws are just recommendation. The only real law is the law of physics. Like laws in the governments and all that's just really recommendations in what we make. Physics is really the only thing that you can't beat. And who knows physics better than engineers, pilots, people in the aerospace industry. I will say, fair enough to Adam, he can hire the right talent, but hired talent is not the same as the person at the top knowing all the macro things and making the big decisions, just like Elon, why he's able to take SpaceX and do what he does. Yeah, I'll let you guys kind of refute. What's your love of Adam Goldstein?
I'll let Anthony jump in there quickly, and then I'll respond, and we'll give it straight to Dylan then. So go on.
It would go good with the motif of the boxing. He goes right hook, I go left hook, and then you guys respond in order. We can go boom, 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 boom the whole time. All right, so here we go. Yeah, I did a little similar to what he said. Adam Goldstein was going to University of Florida and NYU Stern 2005 there to finishing that up. Then we got Cedar Hill Capital Partners 05 to 09. We got Plural Investments 2011 to 19. And then we got Meta Lane Capital Partners 2011 to 2012. And then we got Adecco Group sold the the tech recruitment platforms. We got a tech recruitment platform now that he sold, and he was doing that from 12 to 19, and then boom, Archer Aviation. So and kind of, it was funny you mentioned that thing about the holding the cards to the chest earlier before we got on, because I was thinking, like in life, sometimes you got to play the man, and sometimes you got to play the cards, and in the stock market, these CEOs and companies, they're the ones manifesting the cards. They're like showing us what the cards are. So it's to a certain degree, until these things are certified, flying, manufacturing certified, making money, to a certain degree, all of these companies are on a gradient scale of tinfoil hats and believing and so forth. So certain things are more tinfoil hat than others, but to a certain degree, there is prediction in everything. There is educated deduction in everything. So I'm just kind of like, okay, like they do a press release, that's the ace of spades. They do another press release, that's the 10 of diamonds. So they're dishing out the cards. All we can do is play the man. And just like Matan was saying, Brandon Robinson, they're reverse engineering backwards from what the user needs out with all of their hundreds of years collectively of knowledge in aerospace, military, etc. So I'm like, which one do I like? It's sure there's a little bit of a longer timeline, but if I knew the horse was like good, last race of the day, I'm cool with waiting. I'm cool with waiting a year for Hover, 2 years for Hover. I'm cool with that. Thank you.
Yep, all good. So, really, are we comparing it to Brandon? We compare bullish on Adam Goldstein. What I'll say is, if we compare it, or if we just say bullish on Adam Goldstein, well, I will always back someone that can, from nothing, can bring the company all the way to 5.99 billion. If we compare it, look, I have nothing against Brandon. Anything Brandon does, I'm bullish on Horizon Aircraft. However, we can say playing cards close to your chest, but Horizon can't really do anything like that. They have nothing to put PR out about. If I had the level of the midnight, I would be constantly pushing that out. Why I am so bullish on Adam, he's constantly rubbing shoulders with not only Secretary Duffy, he's able to pull partnerships with the likes of Palantir, United Airlines, Japan Airlines, Korean Airlines, Stellantis. Who else have we? Off the top of my head.
Oh, which one didn't you? Sorry, I blanked out. I was taking notes. With United, who's on partnerships? Southwest is on the aircraft side. Yeah. And then to the Korean on all the overseas partners as well.
Then we can go Andrew. We can say we're pivoting, but at the same time, I initially thought when I initially looked at Archer Aviation as pivoting. I don't believe it's pivoting at all. I think it's an expansion of the business. We can say the likes of Horizon Aircraft are gone down a hybrid model, but Archer Aviation are actually as far along with hybrid as Horizon Aircraft are, because Horizon Aircraft only have a half-scale model. Anduril are in production of their full scale already. Anduril are building multiple of these and already have contracts lined up, ready to go with the hybrid model. There's nothing stopping Archer Aviation from then using that hybrid model, both for the commercial side and for the defensive side. Then we have Adam able to pull in big investors, the likes of Cathie Wood, BlackRock, etc. Adam's, look, he's not only a salesman, but he's able to get things done. So we say the Hawthorne Airport. I wasn't that bullish about the whole Hawthorne project when it first started. But at the same time, again, if we compare it to Brandon Robinson, this whole Hawthorne project is what? Triple the market cap of Horizon Aircraft and already profitable. So that already is a bigger business than Horizon Aircraft and profitable at the moment. We then have a business pushing out the powertrain out to Andros. They're doing the Omen drone. So we can say, yes, you have the Cavra X5 and you can push the Cavra X5, but are you going to go up against Anduril? Then you're comparing two businesses against each other, and then are you going to be bearish on Anduril? I'd highly recommend not. I think a better comparison would be Joby Aviation if we were going to go down this route and going down the fact of Job. And I really admire what Brandon Robinson is doing. However, he is in such early doors at the moment, I wouldn't even compare it to what Adam Goldstein has done. We'll go to Dylan first and then we'll come back.
Thank you. And just to be transparent, even though I've been on eVTOL Weekly, this is my first really debate. So if I sound a little bit nervous or, quick talking, I'll try to keep the pace slow and calm the words down. But why am I a fan of Adam Goldstein? There's a lot for me to be a fan of on a very corny level. University of Gator, a lot of family history there. So that's just on a corny level perspective. And I enjoyed the college that this man went to. When we speak about Adam as a CEO of the company, he's been shown to be proven to, in the past, make successful business decisions and to be able to make lucrative sales and have the opportunity to start this venture of Archer Aviation. About how he may not be as, aviation in his blood as some of the other engineers and owners of these companies, but still, again, for him as a sci-fi kid, there was still always this kind of burning passion in him that maybe there was this futuristic landscape that he could be a part of and also help shape and create. So when we talk about bringing in talent, the kind of two different ways to look at this, a lot can speak on vertical integration and look at Elon and Peter Beck. I think those are great examples of two fantastic individuals with fantastic brains who have had the ability to both figure out how to operate both the engineering side of a business as well as the business side of a business. And to me, with Adam, he's a businessman. And I'm okay with him bringing in top-tier talent and top-tier engineering to oversee those projects and not have to be micromanaged and feel as if he has to then become an engineer to be able to find a successful route to creating an aircraft sales platform and continuing to build out Archer Aviation as the industry above just a air taxi network. So with Adam, also, I appreciate how forward thinking he is. So if you go back to 2023, he was actually the first to be in contact with UAE. So prior to other competitors in the industry, he was basically the one to first get the UAE on board with bringing the eVTOL networks into their ecosystem. And when we talk about Adam with PR, I think, as the retail investors, maybe we've tapped in more to Adam in the past year and a half or so. He still, was kind of nose ground as they were doing 80% model with Maker. So now that he does have a full scale and is looking towards his VTOL, this is an emerging industry. And I think to be able to have this be a profitable TAM, and to the TAM that is being projected for the 2030s and the 2040s, you are going to have spokesmen out that are telling basically the world that this is an industry that is coming, and this is a mode of travel that we will be able to take one day. He's also very transparent in saying that he does not expect there to be a high revenue with inside just the OEM, the air taxi network, really for a decade, if not 2 decades. So I see him as somebody, as a CEO, that has pivoted his business model. And for that, I'm actually okay with. Sometimes I can be a little bit confused as we take the pivot. So when we go to the, I believe it was Q3 24 call, he announced Archer Defense. Again, for the predominant eVTOL players, that was one of the first really defense. Not only did he create Archer Defense, he created the Archer Defense business unit, which was comprised of about 7 retired Army generals, as well as some USO. I'll get the abbreviations. I got all that for you. And so again, bringing in top tier talent. When we look at something like, I'm going to get too sidetracked. So it would, so when he's forward thinking about Archer Defense, this is the same time that he brings in the Launch Edition program as into the business fold, as a way to bring in early revenue, as maybe you have other eVTOL companies who are continuing to bang their head against the wall against getting FAA approval. In my eyes, Adam saw that he had a viable product that could come to market in the next, say, year to 2 years, and he wasn't going to let the FAA approval deny him and his business that opportunity. To where, again, through the Launch Edition program and his private conversations with the UAE, was able to tap into the GCAA and actually create the first Launch Edition partner in the UAE, to also continuing to deliver on key milestones and performing their test flight campaigns, unpiloted, sure, but they are doing the test flight campaigns. So to follow that timeline, they have, it's, sometimes when I go back, it's like Adam's a year ahead on his quarterly calls on what's actually happening. And I think sometimes we want it to come tomorrow, but when we look back a year, it's actually kind of amazing the hand that Adam's kind of dealt in front of us, and how many of those cards are actually kind of showing on the flop, the turn, and still looking for the kind of end of the turn in the river to hit. Some other things I want to highlight is let's see. So I again see him pivoting really before the need even happens, being tapped into the change in administration that was happening. So again, that Archer Defense pivot happened right before the change of administration came into office, and as well as securing the Andrew partnership, because again, to get that program of record as experimental aircraft, you need to have that DoD partnership. So you have other competitors that may have signed on later, and again, that's great, and they may be further ahead in development. But to me, again, that's my CEO in Archer Aviation, being forward thinking in how I can bring my aircraft to the defense market prior to having the full build out, as again, those don't have to be type certified to be accepted on the defense market, and to the point where they probably had the quickest turnaround in the eVTOL industry, or in recent history of the eVTOL industry, of being able to take a partnership and actually have the electric powertrain now be used on the Omen system. So the Angel partnership isn't no longer something that is just on earning calls that we can't discuss. There's actually points to fruition and materialization that we've actually seen come from this partnership. Let me see here. You have, other CEOs, you got like Teal and Karp. That doesn't mean they're the FDEs that are out running the boot camps for all of their customers, but they know how to run a great business. And sometimes you need a CEO at the front that does just kind of know how to run a business. And Yeah, I mean, I could probably share more, but yeah, for right now, that's part of the love, and part of and part of love and part of the faith I have as Adam goes through.
No,
Yeah,
before I flick it back to the guys, guys, jump in, smash that subscribe button. What, we've 19 of you that have liked it so far, so do jump in, smash the like button as we go forward. Matan, do you want to go?
Well, I just want to firstly say Archer should hire Dylan as a spokesperson
Yes.
for whenever they need a CNBC appearance or something.
You're very kind, Matan.
You don't say any ums, and you're very diplomatic in your answers. It's very, very. So I feel like we're on a news channel here. So
You're really kind.
but I'm a little not used to this format. We're a little all over the place. So maybe I don't know. If you guys want to bounce off of anything, you can feel free to interrupt me. But
yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Generally speaking, let me see. How do I even respond? There are so many different points here.
I got a lot of love.
You get your wits wrapped. You get your wits wrapped. That's why I say something.
Wait, real quick. There was a great point here by Vast CNC that if we're talking about the foundation, we should also mention Brett Adcock, which is also a big part of, speaking of, what all is being done. A lot of it has been Adam Goldstein, but, Liam mentioned the fact that bringing it to a $5+ billion company, I think a lot of that was also Brett, really. And Brett is like the person building the thing. He's more the walls, I feel like, and Adam's more the jobs here. But I still, the fact that Brett kind of is not involved so much anymore, obviously because he's building the whole humanoid robots thing. I mean, the money was made there. The stock is kind of priced to perfection. I guess if we can pivot to that, like, what do you think of the fact that, we're really priced to perfection? It's very high. I mean, what really is I know you spoke briefly about the TAM, which is a whole nother debate. I don't know if I really agree with Morgan Stanley's $1.9 trillion TAM. 2030 is 125 billion. That seems a little more reasonable. It's obviously broken down into many sectors, but like you also mentioned, that Adam is very transparent on the fact that it's 10 to 20 years out for actual taxing people. And I kind of agree to that. I think it's really the last in line. I think first in line is going to be more military, medvac, cargo. Spoken about this before. But other, pretty much almost anything else. That's like the last thing to happen. And then I've also seen him say, even when it happens, it's going to be a slow pivot. New York City won't just go from 0 to 200 or 1,000 of these in the air. They're going to go from like 10 to 20 to 50. It's going to be a very slow transition for the public to accept this. And so I think basically almost all the other competition, like Joby even, and all the other ones are much better, well positioned for those specific industries. Whereas Archer was going really after, urban air mobility, even, soon the Olympics, they're promising that, which I will not be surprised to hear if they lose that partnership and Joby actually gets that partnership instead. But let's see what comes out of that. And let's see what comes out of all the partnerships. Speaking of partnerships, before you mentioned Anduril, Stellantis, Palantir, United Airlines. I'm not too sure what actually comes out of them. Yesterday, speaking to Brandon Robinson, he explained very well that the partnerships are more about, parts and building the relationship in developing the thing, right? So I don't know. Archer is more vertically integrated than Hover. But for example, with Hover, they're not going to be building the thing. They're building the design, and another company like MT Propeller is going to be building the propeller, right? So what is United Airlines, Stellantis? What are those partnerships about? Anduril and Palantir make a little more sense, but even then, those were a big disappointment to retail and a lot of hype. I know you mentioned they're doing the powertrain, but people were expecting that that Anduril was also that they're going to be selling them the airframes, which would be millions of dollars versus like $100,000 in product sales. And And actually about the whole airline stuff. I mean the whole Hawthorne airport stuff. That seemed like a very weird pivot. You even mentioned yourself. You were like, "What's this about?" And then you're like, "Okay, well, it's making money, so fine. I guess that's fine." But it's still a distraction. I saw what Adam Goldstein. I actually looked up today what he said about that, and primarily two reasons I found from that. One, connection to people nearby. He's got SpaceX and a bunch of other really awesome companies in nearby, whatever, may be valuable, but you could have just bought an office. You didn't need a whole airport. And then two, to run their ops, park the planes there or something. I don't know. You could have bought a big parking lot or something. But I guess, the airport makes money. It makes sense. He also described that like airports are not for sale all the time. It's very rare. So, they wanted to take this opportunity and they felt like it was right. Fair enough, but still a distraction. It was definitely not in the roadmap. It was something that came up, like how he spoke about it. It was like, oh, it was like an opportunity. So like, if he's doing that, what other things can he also do like that? And to my point of like, he isn't an engineer running this, he is a businessman. That means he's also willing to do a little bit of more businessman things and hide some of the bad stuff and just show the good, to attract investors and stuff, rather than, the non-business people. They're so honest. They're just like, well, this is what we're doing. You guys don't like it? Like, what do you mean? And he's got to show, a facade kind of. Sorry, there we go. I'll let you.
No, you're all good. Anthony, do you want to jump in there?
Yeah, I wanted to say two kind of fundamental things. First of all, when you're criticizing something or debating something, like this is not going to be like if you're criticizing a meal, this won't be like Archer's completely horrible. I'm throwing this whole meal out the window. Check. Like it won't be like that because there's obviously plus points. There's always going to be plus points, gray areas, red points. There's going to be a panoply of data. It's, you know what I mean? So I just wanted to say that. And then also when we compare Hover and Archer, there's a three-dimensional aspect to it. Like, sure, we could say the pedigree of the CEO, their experiences, what they've done. We got longer vision of what Adam's done with the company. And then we got some data about what he did prior to Archer. We got data about what Brandon Robinson's done with Hover in a smaller pocket of time. But we got a longer window of his life experiences, knowledge, and the whole team, because they got the USA All-Star team up in there. Remember when they had Magic Johnson and Jordan and they was dunking on everybody, you know what I'm saying? Wearing the American flag. Yeah, those was the days. Remember that? When they didn't even let pro players in the Olympics. Remember that? They didn't even let pro players in the Olympics because it wasn't fair. Then the USA kept losing all the time. They're like, we got to unleash the pros in there. Remember that?
Bring in MJ.
Yeah. And good times, right? Actually, Matan, he's perfect for this because he knows all that stuff. Everything he just said, I had no idea. But I will say this, because I'm more of a fundamental guy. There's a lot of complexity. I just know fundamentals. I do think it's a big gamble with them being like, all right, 2028 Olympics, big deal, right? That is a gamble, right? Like Brandon's like, all we can say is, 12 to 18 months, we'll have this, like a nice bland, and if you deliver early, that's great. But like, I think it is a big gamble with the red tape and the way everything's going to be like, we're totally going to be there. You know what I mean? I think that is a gamble. You know what I mean? And that might not be, looked upon as like awesome if it's just like, so that's the one thing I'll say. And then I did have a question because you guys know a lot. I remember I saw something online. People were like talking about painting the midnight. They were like, is that the same craft or like, is it a painted one? There was a white one and a black one. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Like, and this is my question. How many midnights do they have? Like 4 of them or something?
So are you talking about the ones that they fly or bring to just kind of like conventional shows and such like that? There's Maker was 301 AX, 302 AX is the non-piloted transition. I believe that's in UAE right now. 703 AX is the piloted CTOL version. And tell me if I'm wrong, Liam, but I think they may have a display version that they also
Yeah, and they
take
just
to
wrap
the,
deliveries
so
on them.
yeah, it's like those are just wrap to,
See,
you know.
why have a display version facade? You know, like show the real
But
thing.
Horizon have a display cover X5 that they're bringing.
No, they bring out the real one. Maybe I'm
It
wrong.
actually goes
I
up.
don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I guess it doesn't cost too
To each
much.
their
so
own, yeah.
still, but-
No,
Um,
like when you say display one, you mean there's no engine or anything. They just roll it out so people can touch it.
So it's a display to
Yeah.
show what you're going buying.
That's fine. How many do they have that actually fly?
How many at
Yeah.
the moment?
So you have the
7AX.
302AX, which does the transition, and that's the one in UAE right now. You have 703AX, which is the CTOL one, which they did the CTOL test campaign. 704AX has had their airworthiness criteria, although we have not seen that one in air. And it was 6 in production with 2 in final production, if
Yep.
that's the correct number on the last quarterly call.
Okay, neat.
So then jump.
I
go on.
real quick about the display version. I really think that says a lot to me. I know it's like a little thing maybe, but it says a lot in terms of the decision to even do that, right? How you do anything is how you do everything. The fact that they do that,
But the
they're
transport
doing
cost
other
of
things
a
in the
full,
business like
a
that.
full thing with an engine on board is going to be a lot more expensive than just an airframe.
Why do they have a ginormous facility that they could use a smaller one? They don't need that big of space. They barely have.
So if
people
I could maybe pop in and answer some of that, Matan. Again, I think the reason they have the ARC facility, it's a $65 million, I believe it's a 400,000 square foot facility. This is not an overnight industry. This is not an overnight build. This is something that these companies are going to have to set up and figure out how to manufacture the 500 and into the thousands of aircraft. When you talk about opportunities being there, sometimes as a company, you got to jump towards opportunities. With being able to hold still the industry highest cash position and not really hurting under about 2 billion for about 2 straight years, and we can talk about dilution, I'm fine to talk about that. I don't think $65 million is much of a drop in the bucket to be able to secure the land, and also be able to have the facility, because you're going to have to retrofit the facility as well. So that's all time spent. Time is money. So I'm okay. Let's go ahead and get that started now. And there was one other one you had mentioned. Apologize. Let me go back. Saying something about Archer. Something about not seeing it till 2028. So with archery at the Olympics, they're thinking that exclusive partnership might get dropped. One, NBC is a consumer business, so we're going to start seeing canaries, I believe, with NBC. I even called for maybe week 13 through 17 this week on NBC football, if not rolling into next year, where you might see some more spotlights. If you listen to some interviews, the Fallon and NBC collaboration was, again, something that was brought forth by NBC, because NBC and the Olympics, it's a storyline. So again, the NBC is selling a story to get the viewership as well. So this is, NBC puts this on because they want the viewers as well. So as the viewers come and you have Archer in the fold, and really as a team member for the Olympics and the Paralympics, I think also outside of Adam being on NBC to promote his product, we're going to see the canary in the coal mines in at least 2 different ways off the top of my head. One, the planned Q3 introduction to service in the UAE. So even if that was delayed into 27, I mean, you're basically giving me a 18-month, almost 2-year window from what has already been guided for flights, either market survey or passenger flights in UAE, to have another 2 years to basically have the exact same aircraft be able to fly in the U.S. airspace. So I think actually what you might be getting at would actually be more towards the FAA timeline and speed in which they can come forth. It's interesting how some other companies have really been in the game for a lot longer and no real tangible progress has been made with the FAA. Now you do have Archer enter the fold, and it does seem like some timelines are being sped up, or you do have some initiatives either through the administration or that just kind of line up where you have other companies that were supposed to enter service in UAE in Q1 who are now entering into service in Q3. You had spoke about, let's see, oh, the Andro and the powertrain. So yeah, definitely appreciate you highlighting that the Omen system does have the Archer powertrain put in. So as that was said, that was a project that came together within 12 months. So just about 1 year for that technology to be integrated into the Omen system. Archer and Andro has actually been working a bit longer on designing the actual airframe. So they've been speaking about that being about a 12 to 18 month project to come to fruition. So I think for us, or at least for me as an Archer investor, for a lot of quarterly calls, you were hearing, what's going on with Archer Defense, and Adam say, oh, we can't say much. And it was really being the bear case for me, where it's like, bro, like if you got something with Andrew, like what's going on? Tell it, what are you working on? What's the deliveries? And he would speak about you can't really just slap a hybrid powertrain on a eVTOL and have that be a proper military use case. So as I was looking forward to hearing or seeing further progression in the true eVTOL aircraft or airframe that was going to be sold to Andrew for the $5 million clip, being able to see that they've actually pumped out another collaboration and project with Andrew, to me just deepens the strength of the ability to deliver on the projects. And if Andrew is happy with what Archer is providing at the moment, I would see them continuing to want to work with them and keep them as a partner for their eVTOL expeditions going forward. Hawthorne. So, you can look at it two different ways. It can be very short-sighted in saying, why does Archer need an airport today? Again, if you want to look at property and how it's sold in LA, LA property, even homeowner to homeowner, it's very hard to come. There's actually provisional rules depending on how long certain properties have been owned and basically how the turnover of those sales go. Just feel free to Google a home in LA for $126 million and see what you can get. Hey, it's a beautiful home. You're going to be hanging off the side of the cliff. You got a cliff, you got an infinity pool, and you got 3 stories of some gutted out model to do what you want with, put some art in there. Or 3 miles away from LAX, you can pick up Hawthorne Airport, which flies in Class B airspace and has an active FAA tower and completely aligns with the Palantir partnership and developing a new ATC system, which again, I am looking to hear more and more on how Palantir is working with Archer and how Archer is working with Palantir to integrate that in. But if you think about it, if something was to progress where the lower altitude flights, because again, Archer has proven out that they can fly to 10,000 feet, but your optimal flight height for air taxi is going to be 500 to 1,500 feet in the air, and your optimal speed is going to be 120 miles per hour. So basically that's fitting well within the CTOL test campaign so far. And granted, we're waiting for the VTOL, but that's been said that's coming Q1 of this next year. So patiently waiting on that. And, again, when you were talking about kind of market or something, and sorry, I'm trying to write the notes down so I do hit on exactly what you said, Matan, and not paraphrase it. The market, they don't like confusion. That's something I've learned as a retail investor. And I think when the Hawthorne news was announced, I think that did send the market into a bit of confusion over kind of, hey, what is Archer? What are they doing? Like, what's going on here? And the whole Q&A, it really spun away from learning about piloted VTOL and was really focused on Hawthorne to allow, again, those analysts, the Raymond James and, Amit Dow and all of them that follow the industry, to be able, I guess, then to lock in, because they were probably confused on that as well. One thing that I've enjoyed about Archer's chart, though, is, again, it's selling at about a 3.5 times price to book ratio. You have other eVTOL companies that are selling at a 15:1 price to book ratio. I kind of joked on X where if Archer stock was to drop about 60%, they could basically just buy their company in cash. So there's not many other companies out there. You have other competitors this year that basically the whole cash rate that they have was made through a $500 million dilution in 2 tranches from a partnership. And that's basically almost the full cash position they're going to carry into the next year. Whereas Archer, yes, we've done dilution, but there's been a strong outside of the fib dip on the earnings call. There's been strong consolidation in the kind of $7 and $8 range. So for me on the technical side, and so basically lining up technical to what company is doing, I don't see anything moving backwards in the company as we prepare to move forward to the VTOL test campaign, as well as just in the chart perspective. And this is really kind of whatever's, but you've had 3 spikes and those have hit the 375. So it's kind of like a rule of 3 to 4 in technical analysis. And it doesn't mean that it's going to happen, but you kind of have those resistant points that keep getting hit. And eventually those resistance get hit to support. I think at Archer's market cap, you definitely have the $2 billion of liquidity that you can pull right out, which, depending on the close, I think, let's say they're around $6 billion. I know you can't liquidate an MOU, but I think Matan, some of you were saying, they're about the sale of the aircraft right now because they realize being profitable in an air taxi network isn't going to come until 2035, 2040. And, as we get more information on what the ATC system will be, our other eVTOL OEM operator is going to be working off of a, trademarked Unlock the Skies, Archer Aviation sort of ATC system. Is that another revenue area of revenue for the business as well? With the last thing with LA, again, Adam said, if we win LA, we can win the world. LA is densely populated. So again, he's proving out a use case. None of these aircraft outside of Hover, credit to Hover, are FICI certified. So right now, if you're going to be operating in like New York, basically fall through spring, you could basically have shut down services on any given day. And to me, that's not a reliable service that I'm going to be calling and thinking about all the time. But if we're starting to really base out our locations in Miami and LA, what it's doing is it's showing the network, because if it's of 20 to 50 of the aircraft, even if it's multiple companies coming in, that they can safely fly over a densely populated area. So again, like Adam says, when we get to the thousandth populated city, is Scottsdale, Arizona, or whatever it might be, less population, it might be less need for the commercial use, but you still have the hospitals and anything like that. So win LA, win the world. You got DeSantis in Florida, who spoke about the eVTOL racetrack from Orlando to Tampa. So now we have the EIPP coming up. So something that, again, Adam in his presence at the White House, I fully expect for him to want his cities to be in the bid for the EIPP, and ultimately his company to be chosen as one of the, I think it's going to be up to about 5 companies chosen for the EIPP. So I think his relationship with the administration and forward thinking into the populated cities that could be chosen, and for the warm weather and be able to actually fly all year. And then to the Southwest partnerships and the United partnerships and all that, it's going to be sale of aircraft. And then so they make their money off sale of aircraft and maintenance and MROs and such like that. So it's really then then it's on United, it's their aircraft to do what they want. Oh, and just one last thing. One last thing. And then I think we are, years away from having these be a privately owned like eVTOL, like me going out and buying one. It's going to take years to get to the scale of that. But maybe just to wrap it back around, that's why you have a 400,000 square foot manufacturing facility that maybe not fully operational today, but you already got it in the bag for 2030.
Thank you so much for that, Dylan. Then I'm going to jump in. What I'll do first, I'll address Anthony's statement that the Olympics is a gamble. So the Olympics is 30 months away. Archer have 1.8 billion in cash. You're extremely bullish on a company that has 12 to 18 months of cash runway left to get to the full scale demonstrator without diluting. So that's business kaput once the 12 to 18 months over. I believe that is a much bigger gamble than Archer losing their partnership in 30 months' time.
If I could just pop, I'm so sorry, Liam, and I was just going to say to Anthony, I'm so sorry for the rant. I'm sorry to cut you off, and I won't do it to anybody else, but wouldn't you take that gamble? That's all I had. Sorry, I meant to rebuttal to you, Anthony, but I'm sorry, Liam, to cut you off in the middle of you. Go, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Then I've had a bit of a thought about the display models. So isn't it much cheaper and smarter to bring a display model with you to different conferences, rather than Horizon Aircraft bring the half scale with them to their conference. So then what? You're at a 3-day conference and what? It could be a day traveling in between. So then 4 days, you're now no longer able to have a test flight campaign because you've brought your demonstrator with you. So there's no test flights going on. Whereas Archer Aviation can use their model to actually fly while conferences are going on. Archer Aviation, the airport. So the airport is profitable. I don't think it's a distraction. They have taken the whole business with them. So the business is still going to run the same as it's always run. It's going to maintain profitable. Adam doesn't really have to foresee over it. It gives them the ability that you're so bullish on Horizon Aircraft being able to sell and lease the aircrafts out. That's Archer Aviation's business model now. So Archer Aviation are able to sell the Midnight, but they also own these vertiport hubs. So they're then able to generate revenue again from the aircraft they have sold or leased. So they're able to not only maintain the revenue that they've got from selling the aircraft, they're also able to get revenue from the aircraft after selling that. Then the addressable market, you said that urban air mobility is what Archer are solely relying on. I actually believe Archer Aviation are probably the most diverse of the VTOL companies. They were the first to go into defense. They have contracts already lining up with Andrew to sell that, what are we calling it, the hybrid model.
Mhm.
They're leasing out, or they're licensing out their powertrain model for the Omen drone. They're talking about Medivac in the UAE. There's so many different avenues. They're on about leasing space in the likes of Hawthorne Airport for other
Mhm.
eVTOL providers. Like, there's so much. Even if Archer never flew, they can still make a substantial amount of money. What else did I have? Andrel. So yes, they had that deal licensing the powertrain out, but they have come out and said they are still going forward with the hybrid aircraft. So this is an add-on deal to what already has occurred. So I think initially retail was confused because when they initially looked at it, they thought, I believe we were going down the hybrid model, and now it looks like we're only doing the powertrains. But no, this is in addition, and they're already talking to more customers about licensing out parts of the Midnight. So I know what I would be backing. I'll flip it back to you.
Could I say just one quick thing, if you don't mind, Liam? And
Yeah.
just again, just on the TAM, just to bring it up, just because I don't know if this will come up later, but and I think this is where some of the divergence in what these business models will be. If I could just find it really quick, and it's just when we just talk about general point-to-point services, you have a company in Lyft, and you have a company in Uber. There is a reason why Uber's market cap is 7.76 billion and a reason why Uber's market cap is 176.79 billion. It's because of the business units that they operate. Sorry to cut off.
I'll let you speak in a second, Anthony. I just want to say to Mr. T, I've been reading, there's a lot of comments that probably should go over, but there's one here. Nice debate here. Maybe it would be nicer to have it more interactive and shorter interventions. If in the comments you guys can mention what topics do you want us to hear about, and maybe we can stick to a specific niche, because we are talking over a lot of things, and that's why these responses are very long, because we're not sticking to one thing. So maybe if you guys can help us guide what exactly you guys want to hear. And yeah, I'll let Anthony go here, but I also want to highlight this one other comment that I really like. I thought was funny. Where was it? This is like Enron versus Theranos, Ross Nolan. I thought that
Ross
was really
Nolan,
funny.
I need to debate you, my guy, because you seem like a bit of a clown. But yeah, I need to debate you, my guy.
I
No,
did.
he does give me some abuse in the comments some days. So Ross Nolan,
I did think of something bullish about Archer, which I will mention. I just want to circle back to something you said, Liam. Um, I don't think we can compare certain things, like I said, regarding Hover and Archer. Like you can say, what do they only got? The X5, they pulled that out, but we got the demonstrator without the engine they can touch, and then we got the multiple. It's just, these guys went around the track a couple more times, and then, Hover's out the starting gate a little bit more. So I think that comparison's not totally equilibriumed out, but I get what you're saying. And the other thing too is like Tesla used to be $1. Like, you know what I mean? Like back then, I was like, yeah, who's gonna use that? Like, you mean like not go to the gas station? Like whatever. Like, but the people that loaded up on $1, they did pretty good. And so it's kind of like we can't say like hover dudes are banking on Bombardier and that's why they're doing it. I'm just banking on the program. Like it's gonna work out. Like every time hover goes up a penny, I got $500, right? So it's like I'm cool with that. You know what I'm saying?
I think why we're comparing it though is essentially the design and the end product is vastly different than what we have here. And someone else was mentioning, why are we even comparing Archer and to Hover? We should be comparing it to Joby, which is a fair argument, but they're quite similar. And even though I do like Joby, we like Hover because of like what Vast CNC says here. We should talk about the rear rotor drag penalty for Archer's design, which Hover does not have, and Joby actually still does have. They have the same problem that Archer has, and that's one of the main. Well, that plus other reasons we won't get into. But let's talk about that. He wants to know about that. What is your guys' argument on that?
Can I just finish what I was gonna say?
Yeah, go for it.
Thank you. Because I haven't told my bull point on Archer yet. But just the last thing on Hover, like they know how to build airplanes. They got Kirk. Building an airplane is simple. They fly. If you listen to Brandon, if you were to walk into the hangar right now, we're firing up the fans. We're just firing up, scaling them out, fire them, push the pounds. They got the push the pounds up. We're good. Throw it all together. Game over. Right? And then it all just comes. You just have to wait. That's all. It's very simple. Like the beauty of it is it's a very simple plan. I like simple. But I thought of something with Duffy and Trump and all that stuff. Like there's no cock blocking. You know what I mean? Like it's all in Archer's court. You know what I mean? Like there's no like they're like we're gonna help you guys out. We want to become third dimensional. Trump wants to build more cities and connect rural America and all that stuff. Like the United States government is behind this whole thing, which is great. It's all in their court. They just got to do it. It's bull point.
Right. I'm gonna jump in and say, when you go to an airport, yeah, and you get on a conventional jetliner, can you tell me which one is better, an Airbus or a Boeing? And do you really care when you're going from place to place?
Good question. Probably many years ago, I didn't care. Now I would prefer an Airbus just because of all the tragedies that happened with Boeing. But knowing what I know, it's generally safe still, and I'm not gonna not go on a Boeing. Like if I fly to Israel, they only fly in Boeings actually.
When you get in an Uber, can you tell me the drag penalty between a Toyota Corolla versus a Tesla Model Y? And do you care?
I see what you're getting at, and aerospace I think is very different. But
can I pop in after him, Liam?
Yeah.
So Matan, again, when we look at the drag penalty, I think we need to look at the efficiency of the routes again, because we're talking more in the point to point, 45-minute car ride, breaking it down to 7 to 8 minute. eVTOL point-to-point transfer ride. So again, your optimal battery length and all that's going to come in at 120 miles per hour. So again, you have a S4 that can go 200. You got a Midnight that can go 150. The simple laws of physics on a 7 to 8 minute trip, You can crank that S4 to 200, and I can crank, or I can crank the Midnight to 130, and you can crank the S4 to 180 to conserve a little bit of battery. If it's a 7 to 8 minute trip, simple math is math. You're only going to be able to cut 15 to 45 seconds off that trip. So at the moment on the short range, I just personally, and just to the Liam's point, if this is going to be a true commercial air taxi network, you might have some loyal fans. Maybe in the future, I'll only want to ride in the Midnight. But to those that maybe aren't deeply entrenched into this, when I call my Uber, I may be partial to the cars that are in my driveway, but if that's not the car that's picking me up, I'm still getting in that Uber.
Can we slow down and do some of this math you were talking about real quick, actually?
Yeah, go for it. And while you do that, I'll just say it in a way that I think I learned in driving school.
I think Andrew Tate has lost.
Oh
no, Top G, not Top G.
Sorry,
Really?
that's why I've been like so distant in the thing. I have it on here. Like,
you've been watching it live?
See, he multitasker. So
anyway,
I don't know if you've ever heard this thing, but if you're driving like on the highway up to the mall, like 20-minute drive, or if you're in the 35 mile per hour school zone, where just residential roads and stuff like that. If you punch it to 45 for your 5-minute drive, you're literally barely saving any time. The only way you can save time on a road trip is if you're traveling like 4 hours, and instead of doing 60 miles per hour, you're doing 80 miles per hour. And then the caveat of you're not getting pulled over by the police. So if you get pulled over by the police, all that speeding you did is going to negate all that. But if you did any math on the 7 to 8 minute trip, go for it.
Okay, but that's just debating speed, right? If you're traveling, let's say, with an Archer 120 versus a Hover that can travel 250, let's say double the speed. But you only are going to use 250, obviously, if you're going the 500 miles, not a small, short range, obviously. So I get what you're saying there. But I mean the other math, the numbers of it can only travel how many miles can an Archer travel? How much battery capacity does it have? You can't use it all. You have to let at least 30 to 50%, and before you land the thing and recharge it. Especially if these things are taking humans, their margin of error has to be much more. Like I have a drone, and that thing only lets me, when I get to 20% battery, it forces me to land, basically. Like it really doesn't let you fly. So I imagine, obviously, having humans on board, that number is going to have to be higher. Having a short range really makes it much shorter. You're like we even spoke to Brandon yesterday. Like, we spoke about something like you fly the thing. It also depends, right? The thing takes a lot of battery on the vertical takeoff and landing. And if you're flying it in metropolitan areas, you're going to need a lot more hover time also. Like if you only need to hover or really take off for 5 seconds, it can take a lot of energy really quickly. But if you need it for 30 seconds, your battery capabilities are quite different, and what you need to input out and what you need to output, and how fast and slow and whatever. And all these like different variants like change the whole dynamic of your battery capacity. And I don't think their numbers really make sense for the time being right now. Like someone mentioned, he doesn't know where he doesn't know that Adam said, oh, they're only going to be taxing in like 10 years. I mean, yes, like they're going to be doing other things. Like I don't see them flying this thing anytime soon, flying people around. We'll see what the Olympics come out, but I'll let you guys talk. I don't like going this super long format. I feel like we're a little all over the place.
No, you're
there's
okay.
actually a lot of comments that are really interesting. We should really pay some attention to. But you guys don't have to respond to this. That's my response to you. What do you guys want to talk about next? I don't know.
Yeah, so if I go onto the Hover, it's hard with Archer Aviation at the moment because we haven't seen them demonstrate it with a pilot on board. But if we go across to the S4 Joby Aviation, when you see them so-called hover, they go into vertical flight within 10 seconds, not even 10 seconds. They're on a forward momentum straight after liftoff. These are going to be efficient pathways. It's not like they're going to have to hover for 2-3 minutes waiting for an approach. They're going to have certain time frames. They have to be down at their vertiport. The range is 100 miles. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't know any city that is 100 miles long. It'll be
True.
5-mile trips as such. And if you want to break that down, if we're saying it can go for 100 miles, what are we going to use? Even 20% of the battery in our flight. Battery doesn't actually worry me at all. I think if we're going for long distance, and it's not that Archer have ever said they're going for long distance, but if they were, they have demonstrated that 55-mile CTOL flight. I'm not saying they won't just do what Beta Technologies are doing with their CTOL Alia and just land CTOL if they're going for that sort of distance. Look, it's the same with all of them. You can look at Job, you can look at Beta, you can look at Horizon Aircraft. I believe if they're going to push the limits, they're going to land CTOL. Anthony, did you have your hand up, my guy?
I did. Thank you for asking. What was it? Oh yeah. I had a question. I was about to look it up online. I remember I heard somewhere one vertiport is going to take, what was it, 6,000 houses worth of electricity or 60,000 houses of electricity? Which one was it? Do you guys remember? Was it 6,000 houses or 60,000 houses?
I would have to look that up, my guy. I can have a quick search for you.
Thank you.
I less care about that because I am of the belief that energy will be very cheap / even free, when we can solve energy problems, and that will just change the world in itself. But
like, I do think this whole industry within the next 50 years will be electric, even the likes of, and this is bullish for Horizon. I think within the next 50 years or so, Horizon will be fully electric. So I don't think it really matters about the power consumption. It's 800 homes, my guy.
800 homes. Okay.
Sure. But still, you need the infrastructure of the vertiports. You need to start building out, right? Just like Tesla was building out the supercharger infrastructure. I mean, that is very optimistic, and I hope they succeed. But what happens, when you have, these things have to charge probably longer than the flight, right? Your flight from here to here in New York, maybe, or LA, whatever, 7 minutes. But then the things probably have to charge for 25, 30 minutes. What happens when it's charging, taking space in the vertiport? Oh, my camera decided to start.
No, you're okay.
And what happens when it's charging? And then another, you got to stop the entire, delay the entire airline now. Like, I mean, how are these vertiports? I guess they're going to charge. You're going to have a landing place, and then it's going to move a little bit like a car to charge, let other things land, go back, take off. Just like an airport kind of has a runway and it has like a parking spot for, onboarding and offboarding the people. Essentially vertiport sounds like miniature airports.
It kind of seems like I feel with the vertiports, some of them are where they're going to be the turnkey vertiports, where again in LA, I believe it's any building over, it was either 20 or 40 stories is required to have a helipad on the top. So there's different kind of turnkey opportunities that can come from the vertiports. And I see with some of the other companies, vertiport drawings or, kind of exhibits or whatever they may do on it, they do seem kind of like they're kind of one-off, almost like island, like landing pads and such like that. But if we do talk about kind of the vertiport and the charging, one thing that I do, I guess, bull case or appreciate regarding Archer is there's basically a triangle of connection between Beta and Archer Aviation. So Beta, I'm also a big fan of, as they're continuing to produce out their charging stations and their charging networks really across the East Coast right now. And they are a partner of Signature Aviation, who's one of the leading FBOs actually globally, and as well in the US. I think they have over 200 FBOs in the US, I believe. And so basically your connection, Beta is a partner with Signature. So Signature's loading up their FBOs with Beta charging stations with the CCS connection, which is universal to Beta, which is universal to Archer and other ground maintenance equipment as well. And then the Trinity in that, having Archer, Archer, a partner of Signature, you would expect that they would have landing clearance to be able to land in those zones as well. And maybe you talk about, and I think again, this is a long game, and I think something that's cool for the hover side. Beta not as much. I mean, they IPO'd, but they've done so much work kind of behind the scenes. Maybe you get the SEC kind of like beginning of the story with Beta, but with hover, it's like, if I look at like a Joby compared to Archer, just kind of the test campaign and Beta and the test campaigns that they had to go through, a lot of them do match up, and the time of basically the time that Archer has spent as a company producing out their maker, their 80%, and moving on to their full scale model of Midnight, trajectory is one of the fastest in the industry, if not the fastest. And still banking on safety being the number one thing, as there's been other companies that have rushed their product to test market with failure to come. So I'm okay again, excuse me, with this being a longer run game. And so just kind of the tie in with the Beta and the CCS charge networks, because again, some of the other charging ports may be the one-off Geeks network, and if the whole industry is not then adopting into your charging system, you're kind of leaving yourself on an island of one where you can charge. And if you can gain any revenue off partner charging, partner share charging, anything like that at those Geeks networks. But whether it's to, you've heard some talk about some of the other companies wanting to get some annualized space at the Hollister airport. They're still gonna have to build that out. So, I think the vertiports, like you're saying, and I guess that's still, it's like Hawthorne's new, but it's gonna be interesting to hear a year from now what has been going on at Hawthorne, whether it's gonna be with the FAA towers, the Class B airspace, the 5,000-foot runway, which again, when you come to the LA Olympics, what better spot to have dignitaries land their private jets? This Hawthorne runway, which has had major celebrities and can handle their G4s, G5, G6, whatever they come in. And then you can go ahead, air taxi them on to the Olympics. Because again, like we said, yes, we're talking like the everyday man like me, commercialization, maybe being in that 5 to 10 year scope being off. But right now we have the guidance of VIP and dignitaries where there might be $200 a seat, but that's going to be the initial target market for the eVTOL industry, or I'll say at least Archer's initial targeted eVTOL industry market for the slice of the pie of the air taxi network as well.
Then, guys, I just want to jump in and say I am going to get across to the comments. Look, there's 120 of you watching at the moment between all platforms. Do smash that like button. Jump into the comments. I'm going to do a giveaway here. I don't know how it works across the whole
$10,000 like Martin Lucas.
I'm nearly certain I can do a giveaway and it works with Matan's as well. So I can see all comments here, whether it's on Matan's or on our own. So whether you're on Matan's stream, you're on our stream, jump into the comments. Let us know whether you're bullish or bearish on Archer Aviation. That way we'll be in with a chance to win one of the 5 prizes in the giveaway. But what was I going to get at? Oh, yeah. So Archer Aviation.
Wait. What's the giveaway?
The giveaway is 5 memberships, my guy.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
I missed that part.
So Archer Aviation are targeting 10 to 12 minute stopovers for charging time, where Beta Technologies are targeting 15 minutes. Now, I think we all can agree, whether we're Archer, Joby, Vertical Aerospace, Horizon Aircraft, for the next, 10 years or so, these are going to be very, very stringent on safety. So when we're down at a vertiport, whether we're down at an airport, it doesn't matter where you land, these are going to have to go through very safety checks, whether it's checking the fans, checking the wings, etc., before the next flight. Then, say with a Horizon aircraft, you'll have to fill up with conventional jet fuel. So you're going to have to get your van out there and fill up, etc. I don't think 10 to 12 minutes is that much of a hangover time. Even if it's 15 minutes. If you wait for a train at a train station, when you're at the end line, you could be waiting up on 30 minutes for the train to depart. If you're thinking of a conventional airport, you could be waiting, etc. If you're thinking at a bus, a coach stop, you could be waiting. I don't think that is too much of a worry at the moment. And by the time all the safety and we start speeding things up, we'll have that many midnight, not even midnight, S4, VX4s, Alias, Cavra X7. in production that, look, while one's charging, the other one will take off. So I'm not actually that worried about that. It's going to take a while for any of these companies to actually get to a really efficient model where you can just land, take off, land, take off. It's a bit like the rockets at the moment with either Falcon 9 or with Starship. They're starting to say they're fully reusable, and it's taking time before they can take off in a, I don't know, a nice amount of time. Let me jump into the comments here because everyone is blowing them up now.
Everyone's bullish on hover. Look at that. We got one Joby.
Big C, really cool. Where can you get the hover hats? Do you know what? Brandon gives them away. He's donated a few hats to us, and he's donated a few hats to Matan. So yeah, we might do a giveaway on Horizon aircraft hats and all. Spiderman says bullish on Horizon. Do you know what? Horizon are a good business. I think I sound like I'm really being bearish on them. What I'm trying to do is I'm bullish on the whole industry, and I'm saying, how can you be bearish on one and be bullish on another? And that's why I'm comparing the two. Big C, I'm super bullish. What are you bullish on, my guy? Eric says bullish on Joby. Ben, bullish, think all companies will be bullish, just they peak at different times. Big focus currently on who's first rather than what is better safe
And then
longer.
And then not to, the hover enthusiasts and fans, I would definitely say, take a look at the timelines that Joby has been on. Take a look at the timelines that Archer is on, that Vertical is on. Again, we only have really 4 GCAA, the Canada Transport Association, FAA, and I believe one more that are really the primary certification avenues for these aircraft. But for your half scale and then full model testing, I think one of the beautiful things is, as long as everything can hit guidance, and that's a big if, is that these eVTOLs are literally laying out an investable roadmap for certification timelines. And even if you want to stack charts over charts, it might be interesting to see where certain certification pops have brought other market caps or other expansions out for these companies, and then just to timeline your company back as well, or forward, depending on which company anybody's interested in, and then kind of see again as your run and the cash burn rates start to change, and any dilution that starts to come into the industry, come into the company, seeing if those are the ones that are beneficial or that you have seen to be beneficial, or any mergers and acquisitions that take place, any of the companies that we enjoy in the eVTOL space, have those been going with other companies that have been doing the M&As as well. This, I think, started out again probably 5 to 10 years ago with 1,000 players in the industry, and the margins are narrowing. You got great visual companies like Supernal, who all of a sudden it's like you go on their website and doors are shut, like web page doesn't work anymore, and it's kind of like, no, they haven't been acquired, but what's going on with them? So just anything, just nod to the hover, where again, even as an Archer investor, when I first got into it, maybe I was thinking that Archer and Joby were a little bit more neck to neck in the race of the type certification. And then again, was a little bit thrown off with maybe some of the guidance that was given on the calls when it kind of felt like they were playing in too many sandboxes with the Archer defense, as well as trying to appease GCAA, was still trying to break through the brick wall of the FAA at the same time. But just trying to see, again, are those ways that are going to bring revenue in for the company and start turning these more speculative stocks into revenue making and hopefully profitable companies in the near term future for each individual company.
Anthony, go on.
Thank you, sir. One thing I realized when we were talking about the charging times and stuff, and most people forget about, hey, Matan, what's Elon Musk call it? The PP touch, right? The PP touch, when you got the plane, and then you got the big tanker in the sky, and then they release that thing.
It's the 2 starships. The plan to go to Mars is you take up 2 starships, one with a lot of gas, and then one with the people or the payload. And then you take them up, and then in the middle, of at some point they PP touch. one gives all the gas to the other, it goes to Mars, and then the one that had the gas comes back and lands and does the same mission. What's
Yeah,
your
so
point,
most
Noah?
people, yeah, most people forget about that. Horizon, they'll be able to gas up in the air. So like they're 500 miles, that could be 1,000. They go the whole country, or another country or whatever, military, loaded up. And I thought of something really interesting too. Um, since Archer has the test bed of its entire past and everything it has ever done, said, promised, this will be interesting for the debate. We could ask both of you guys, right? And all the people watching have a lot of knowledge about Archer. Obviously, I don't have a ton, but I know this. We could ask both you guys, what do you not like about Archer? Like, well, like as an investor, what have you felt dicked about? What have you felt overpromised about? What have you felt? Why did they do that? Like, is there anything you could say? Zero. Absolutely love them. They're all saints. You could say that, or you could say I wasn't too keen on this or that. That'd be kind of interesting. What don't you guys like about Archer,
Can I
or things they've
quickly
done?
show the Horizon PP touch that he's talking about here?
Go on.
Yeah.
This is so right here. Can you guys see the video well?
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's the Cavaret. There we go. Getting fueled up from another, aircraft. Pretty cool.
I mean, I think it's a great model. It's definitely a great model, and something that actually, I was really into the hover design and the inducted fans. And time will tell. But I guess just again another bull case on Archer as they continue to build out the different use cases and opportunities, whether they're commercial or defense. It's their IP portfolio, again, industry leading, over 1,000 patents and IP within their company's portfolio. And again, the inducted fans were something that were brought over from Lilium. So for 21 million, I think it was 21 million US, 19 euros. Basically, you're able to get $1.5 billion of R&D research and 10 years of the research that came over as well. And just again, just to wrap it back around, without going through the whole list of the people that I do love from Archer Aviation on the board and such, you do have Jeff Bauer. And just to remember that Z Aero was one of the first. Now I'm losing my tabs, but Z Aero was, I lost you guys. Z Aero was one of the first like eVTOL sort of projects that was taking place. It was like back in 2010. NASA was also like a proponent behind the eVTOL technology back then too. And Bose was basically integral into Z Aero, and he is the let me find him again. Bauer, he's the chief engineer at Archer. So I mean, I think I could go down the list and just kind of wrap it back around, because something that I did find interesting was, again, the talent that Archer has been able to bring on, and kind of the what and whys of why are certain engineers leaving the companies they are with. Either they're in, the companies are now insolvent, or they're taking a chance on another company that they maybe see something in. To also Archer winning some of the bids for like over and then the Karim patent to come in. But if you want my honest answer, Anthony, on the what's of maybe I don't like about the company, something that used to bother me, I would say, and it was again that Q3 2024 in my head, was like kind of like, what is going on with this company? I always felt like when Oscar left Stellantis, that was kind of a hit to the board of Stellantis, and having Stellantis as a big backer of Archer on that like manufacturing side. When I do look into kind of like what Stellantis was doing, yes, they did have that cash leverage position. So, kind of helping Archer out kind of in those phases of early cash deployments and such, with possible trenches to come. But right now, I don't think Archer's in any bad cash position where they're in desperate need to Stellantis to have that money handed over. Stellantis is actually working on battery technology as well on their own. And to the manufacturing side, Stellantis does have workers that are in, I believe, the Covington factory, but definitely in the California factory working with the team as well. So, some earlier questions a year ago I had was definitely, it's like, what's going on with Stellantis? What's going on with this manufacturing partner? But, with still hearing the build out guidance, where still, the primary build is going to be done in California off the Golden Line. And again, I'm curious, is Palantir just strictly an ATC partner, or does Palantir play any of the ontology into kind of the way Archer is able to get their products from their outsourced companies and such like GKN, Hexel, Molicel, and kind of get those in kind of the Palantir ontology and how that all fits into that brain, and then also to see if that's anything that they're taking from their golden line as they bring that down to the company in Georgia facility. So again, it's like at this stage of build, I don't know if you need the 400 square foot facility, but you have it and you have the time to build that out, but you're not stopping build just because you don't have that facility built out. You're continuing to go through, build the aircraft that you're going to need to present to FAA for type conforming or TIA, and then also being able to have deliveries that will still fall in line. So also kind of in that basket of making sure that Archer can deliver on all the promises where you're going to have the aircraft that can be held for the FAA for type certification, where again, if GCAA is truly going to be one of the first market surveys, being able to have the aircraft to deploy over there, and then also having the aircraft when Andrew calls on those and kind of being able to have that build. It does sound like through both Archer and Joby that the numbers are still looking at about 50, ramping up to 50 per year by 27. So I think, earlier in my investment in Archer, I was thinking that they would maybe be ramping to that 650 number more in that 27 to 28 range. So that manufacturing ramp may be back a year or two. But again, as I hear kind of like the scaled out practicality of what can happen, especially just right off the backs of FAA certification, as opposed to mass producing 1,000 of these aircrafts and then like something doesn't work and then you got to go back to the drawing board and redo that. So the Stellantis thing was a little bit, just one other thing, but if I remember it, I'll definitely bring it back. I think there was one other thing, but and then obviously to the obvious, I did not love the guidance that was on the Q1 call. 24, I believe, or 25, Q1 25, where they said piloted flight was imminent. And I'll say, I won't speak for all, but I'll say for me as an Archer shareholder, that was definitely sold to me as a piloted VTOL flight. And it said that it was coming in days. A few days came, a few days went. He did his Fallon appearance. I really didn't care. I was like, cool, you're on Fallon. Also, by the way, like nobody really stays up till 1 p.m. So like, I'm sorry, 1 a.m. So like this subset of population that like, I'm actually surprised that the stock ran up that much the next day. Cause I'm like, I don't even think that many retail people stay up till 1 a.m. to watch Fallon and whatever, but stock pumped the next day. And if you took advantage of it, great. But me as a long time holder, that's just when you cheerlead and you're like, okay, it can reach different fib levels. And we're kind of unlocking those parts of the chart as well. But yeah, I was definitely feel like I was sold a little bit of that CTOL dream or the VTOL dream, and then to have the 2 weeks come out. But just on the backs of that, just to rebuttal, hearing that Beta did run a full CTOL test campaign, which I've learned in the past, I would say 2 months or so, did give me a little more investor confidence of why a CTOL campaign may be beneficial and to the different use cases, either military or different civilian use cases where you can use a runway to be able to land the aircraft and possibly do some battery conservation as well. And but yeah, the piloted VTOL, that's the big question mark over the head. I no financially advised, but I predict that we will see that within 704AX in the Q1 timeline as guided. And if not, I'll go back to my investment drawing board and see how I feel about what they've done since then. But yeah, those are my kind of question marks still to be answered and stuff.
Yeah, and then jumping on from that, yeah, my biggest thing I don't like about Archer Aviation is, no, I follow these every single day, but they confuse me every single day. I can't seem to grip my head around some of the announcements that come out, and it can take 2 to 3 quarters before we can connect the dots. I believe they do something and then tell you about it after. Another thing I really don't like, Adam really going after Joby at the moment. Fair play, look, you can defend yourself against a court case, but it feels like he's jumping on social media and taking shots at Joby and Joe Ben every 2 minutes now. So I think I'd like the CEO to avoid conflict, especially with the front runner in the industry, and just concentrate on that VTOL campaign. Look, this kind of plays into the fact that they did come out in June and say they won't be doing their VTOL envelope until Q4 this year. I found it. I was only about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I wish Archer were a lot more. I don't know, not even transparent, because it was Archer that actually put that out. But I wish Archer beat the drum a little bit more about that when they do guide for something that is not that favorable. Don't just put it out quickly in the comment section. Look, I want to hear both the good and the bad news. I don't want you to say you've put it out and then have to search through it in the comment section. Now, yes, they have pushed that out to Q1 26, and I do believe they will achieve this. So, look, yeah, my biggest thing is I don't know, I feel like I'm constantly chasing my tail, but I think that's some of the joys of retail investing. I think we can go around all companies and say that, look, we'd be on the board if we knew absolutely everything about the companies.
Yeah. How about we just maybe pay some tribute to the comments and read some of the comments here. Also, it's getting a little heated between some folks here. I don't know if you've been reading.
Oh, not us. Oh man, I was gonna say not us,
Well,
Matan. I thought
comments.
I thought we were hanging in there good with each other.
It looks like some of the hover folks are going at it with the Archer folks, but
okay.
Randy, big shout out, my guy.
What's up,
Alien.
Randy?
There's a distinct difference between the erratic and fearful retail investor and the institutes. The institutes know the score and they don't play chicken little drum every day. Okay, my guy. Is Hover hybrid only aircraft? So yeah, Hover is going for hybrid only, but they are open to going for a full electric powertrain once the whole industry sees fit. Now, has Brandon any update on when they would look for
hybrid only? But they're open. Well, they're open to transitioning to they're in talks with Zero Avia for what is it called? Hydrogen powered, which would be awesome. But that would be way better than electric. Actually, that's actually something to think about. If that happens, all electric won't be the future. It'll be hydrogen powered, because that's like an order of magnitude, 2-3 orders of magnitude greater than electric, actually. But yeah, there's a lot of comments. Let's continue on. Mr. Tebow, I like what he says here, and I agree with him. What is more likely to 100x? Hover going to 6 billion or Archer going to 800 billion?
But we could say the same thing. What's more likely, Archer Aviation going 60 billion or Horizon Aircraft going 7 million?
Or one going bankrupt and one succeeding. I mean, it's and for me, if you're looking for a 10x in the stock, the one thing I do like about Hover is, I mean, granted, I don't think they could liquidate probably near $50 million of the $75 million market cap they have now, but they're an eVTOL company that's not trading at $1 billion plus market cap that has demonstrator aircraft as well. So the only
one. That's a great point to highlight, though. They're the only one, though. All the other ones that have demonstrated transition flight are easily worth $500 million plus to $1 billion. I'm trying to think, what's the smallest one? Vertical Aerospace. What are they worth?
It's $555 million, I believe, at the close. But kind of to the point, it's like, I mean, we're in a raging bull market. There's a lot of sentiment built into these stocks, and I mean, again, 100x would be awesome. And 20, 30 years, sure, I'm around for the ride, and hopefully we're all here for it. But even if we look at a 10x, maybe if I take Hover out of it, just per what the real true business use case is. And again, we don't know 3, 4, 5 years from now if Archer's going to take the inducted fans and look for more regional travel and expand their business envelope with the capital that they have. So, I mean, that's always a question mark in the air. But for me, a 10x on Archer, that brings them to a 60 billion. I think Liam might have just hit on this, or I think somebody in our quadrant just hit on this, but brings them like a $60 billion market cap. And again, if they're producing sales of aircraft, I mean, there's going to be catalysts that are going to need them to bring that to the $60 billion market cap. But again, if we looked even at the projected TAMs, looking at, like you say, the low range of, I think it was the 125 billion on 2030. I don't think it's crazy to think that Archer could own 30 to 60% of the share of this industry. 30% low end, 70 to 60% higher end. Again, based on
And
all
I
the
want to
different.
jump in there as well and
Yeah.
say I don't think it's only the transition that gives value to the business. Like if you look at Archer, all the partnerships across the business with the likes of United Airlines, the likes of Stellantis, I think it all plays into facts. Even if Horizon did go and transition, they still don't have nowhere near the amount of partnerships that Archer Aviation have. They don't have the infrastructure. They don't have the likes of the ARC facility now. They don't have the likes of even Hawthorne Airport. Like Hawthorne
They
Airport
don't need
alone
to,
is bigger.
because they don't need to. It's all a facade. They don't need a lot of that. And to the point, why
But the
even
market seems to think they do.
like Palantir, right? They're or no, not Palantir. They partnered with Anduril. Anduril releases the Omen. No one knew about it until they released it. They release a product kind of like Apple. Once it's done, they're not telling you we're building this product. We need all this funding. Like Tesla, if Cybertruck was a company in itself, it probably would have failed. Luckily, he has all the other backing of the other cars. But if Cybertruck was a company with all the delays and all the hype, and now they're not actually selling to what they thought, that thing would probably not looking good in numbers, let's just say. But it's just one part of the business, so they can take that risk. I think it comes down to the ultimate use case design that is going to be the just like you said, you don't care if you're in an Airbus or a Boeing. The reason you don't care is not because the company, it's because the aircraft works and they're the same. They work the same. They look the same. They literally quite are the same. All the cars on the road are the same. They have 4 wheels. They all do the same thing. They have windows. They have a roof. But when we first started, it was the Wild West. Cars didn't look the same. Some made them with 3 wheels. Some had they're used to horses, right? You just had one person in the front, 3 in the back. Now it's standard. There's a passenger seat. There's 2 people in the front. There's roofs. Everyone has a roof. There's windows. All these things become standard. And the planes now are all standard. Right now, eVTOL is the Wild West. The ultimate design is not decided and is not standardized. And that's why you have so many companies with all these crazy radical designs. We don't know yet if the typical design is going to be a 5-seater, a 7-seater, a 2-seater. I mean, there's so many different, it's not even just the seats, it's how it looks. Some of these have no wings. Some of them, open blade rotors or the ducted fans, like all these are ultimately big design decisions that will become standard. What is going to be the standard is the big bet, I think. And
But
yes,
jumping
Archer can pivot, like you said, and maybe start some ducted fan stuff. But those are big business decisions to be made at the top. And I just don't think I'm not backing Adam Goldstein to make those right decisions. Like the reason I like Brandon Robinson, talking to him also, is like he just seems like he's making the right decisions from the get-go. Everyone's pivoting to hybrid now, right? He was hybrid from the get-go. He decided that. Fiki, right? You said it yourself. No one wants to fly in New York because half the time you can't fly because you're not going to be Fiki certified. Well, then, okay, Archer is going to be only able to serve under the Sunbelt area and very specific markets in, I don't know, Europe or Africa or whatever. Fine. That's a TAM. But, to
where's
me,
the population density? Is it
hover
Canada,
covers everything.
or is the population density along the equator?
Well, that's the beauty of this too, that I'd love to speak about. Why even live in a city anymore when you're going to have one of these? You can live far away from the city and fly anywhere, or, transportation will be much cheaper, right? This is going to change the world, just like railroads did, just like cars did before. Moving things, it's not even just people, it's things. It's actually moving cargo and goods. The reason you can't live in an island is because groceries are going to be extremely expensive to fly them over. But once that's extremely cheaper, back then things were extremely expensive. When they made the railroad, instead of days to move things, it would take only hours. And now with trucks and everything, it's we have 1-2 day shipping. I mean, this is crazy at incredible prices, right? Like we didn't know we will get these benefits of 1-day shipping when we first made the railroad, but we knew that it changed a lot of things. And that's the point here. It's going to change a lot of things. I think people will not live in cities anymore. The reason people live in cities is because they need to work there and they need to move to their work. But when they can travel at different speeds at further distances, you know, like you have the subway in what is it called, the bullet train in Japan. You know, if we had that here, I mean, maybe not the
But they'll
best
still have to
example.
travel to the cities. It'll just create an industrialized city.
This is extremely forward looking, but my whole thing with the eVTOL space is it's going to radically change things. The moment we have a new mode of transportation, it always changes the world.
Like the reason cities are there is because you're gonna bring a big population together. Like with work, you need to bring them all together. So you're still gonna have to travel to the city. Whether you live in the city, you don't live in the city. You're still gonna have to travel.
People work is becoming more remote, more robotic. What work do you need in person?
So Matan, I think again we're talking, you know, maybe put a timeline or a year behind so we can get a little bit of context of what you're seeing. You know, it would be great to have hover. Yeah, okay, but I just want to finish out here. I appreciate it. But again, I can't give timelines or predictions either, but based on the guidance of the company and what I can do for these specific eVTOL companies is they are laying a roadmap of TIA certification and when they are actually going to come to fruition and put in front of the public what it's like to fly on something that is not your traditional gas-powered engine. You know, maybe day one, Hover is able to, you know, get whichever airline they end up getting a partnership with and slapping the logo on, and everybody's just completely fine flying in an inducted air flight, you know. But maybe there's some gradual UAM introduction that allows that, not investor confidence, the like literal passenger confidence. And that again, you know, we can go into a forward conversation about autonomous flight and how that has to end up getting there. And it's going to have to first be proven out by the look of the eVTOL being able to do this and then moving forward. And just like you say, with the railways and stuff, the battery technology will get better. If these companies are making revenue and if they're in profit and they want to take their envelope further to regional air mobility, I mean, you can trust or distrust Adam as the CEO that can make that decision. But at this point in time, he's grabbing the IP that may give him the opportunity. And he said that it's 3 to 5 years off until I'm even interested in taking a look at it. That's not his business.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about a little more practical timelines and real stuff right now.
Can I just say something really fast, just to chime in real quick?
Yeah.
The two catchphrases of the stock market is buy low, sell high, and you want to get in early. And everybody keeps saying they don't have this, they don't have that. It's like, yeah, like that's why you want to get in now. Like Horizon, luckily enough, they drop all their news between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. So people will still have an opportunity to get in early enough, I would imagine, when these days come. You know, it's not like they're going to drop it at midnight and then the market makers got in at 2 a.m. already and the thing's already at, you know, 150% above where it is. And then everybody's like trying to get in at $3.80 or something like that. So, you know, and it's like a job interview. It's like, you know, you're talking to some guy, you want to tell if he can push a broom or not. You know what I mean? You're talking to him and you're like, all right, I'm convinced. I think this guy can push the broom. You know, it's like, just like, look at their team. It's crazy. They got Jamil. The guy's flying. He's an astronaut flying outer space. Virgin. All these things. It's like the guys, you know, top notch. These guys have built airplanes before. This isn't like they're trying to figure it out. It's like they have done it before. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like this whole idea of like, will they get it? It's like, dude, you're lucky they don't have it yet. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody is lucky they do not have it yet. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we all can agree on the whole eVTOL sector is going to take off. Look, I slightly disagree, and I think this is across the board. It's not just Horizon. I think it's Archer. I think it's Rocket Lab. I think everything. As Dylan said, we're in a bull market at the moment, so I don't agree with buy low, sell high at the moment because I think we are at a high. I don't think we're buying low at the moment. I think the bull market is frothy. We've seen how quick. Remember when we spoke before and we thought Horizon was, I believed Horizon was overvalued and you believed it was going to $5 or so and we just collapsed. This is what I mean. This whole industry can't just collapse. If we get a whole macro change, I'm telling you, all of our stocks can be flattened. Archer could be back at $3.
Let me correct
Horizon
you.
was
It
back on the
corrected. It did not collapse. It corrected. It was a
I
natural
don't know.
correction.
Correction.
Yeah, it went up a
Let me
lot.
see.
Collapse
How much
is
of a
what's going to
correction?
happen to Archer.
It went up 1,000%. It went 900%. It went from 40 cents to $4
I
in
know,
under
but
a year.
that is very true, Ant, but maybe not everybody was as early as you know. So you got to remember that even for Archer, if somebody bought in with the Tesla hype, again, I was not pushing that, but then you're creating bag holders at certain now resistance levels that are going to have to then become key support levels again, depending on your transaction volumes and such like that. I don't think Hover has an optional trade on it unless that was something that's been added in. So, you can't play an option on Hover, and such like that too, if you wanted to, even kind of like cover, whatever you want to do with your shares or get your option plays in as well. But just really quick, Matan, as you talk about maybe not being able to forecast the year or whatever, but let's just say 2045, right? Nobody needs to live in cities. Well, one, I live in a pretty populated city. So either I guess they're going to pay me $1 million to demolish my home and build this into a corporate area or a vertiport. Okay, they don't get my check. But one thing I was thinking about is, me as I look, maybe to retire, get to the beach in 10, 15 years, whatever it is, you have a lot of that kind of like prime real estate, prime retirement real estate that gets kind of bought up. But now if you have the developments that are 45 minutes inland, but what I would then envision, I'm not talking about tomorrow, I'm not talking about 2030, I'm talking about the 35 and the 40, where within inside of your newly developed neighborhood, you may have a helipad vertiport network where they may be running shuttles, 15 minutes every 30 minutes, where then again, that person that's 70 and they want to get out of their 7% mortgage, when it drops down, they can then move further inland, still have the access to the beach, or for people that want to get down there a little bit quicker. And maybe if there's some of the retirees, they're still hanging on to the higher dollar price on their home. And again, this is what I'm thinking 20 years from now, where it's something you're going to actually have like a vertiport or even that ability to like buy one of these eVTOLs on just like a super, like anybody being able to buy these on a private basis or having them at a cost point where they would be something that, your traditional, like, kind of like fanatic flyer pilot, would be able to pick up and have in their hangar as well.
The only reason you need to go to the city right now is for work. If that is not a reason anymore, you can be wherever. I live in the city.
Like hospitals.
I live in
Likes of hospitals. Likes of going to sports arenas.
I love going to the city. It might be not be for you.
You have to be in a place where people are.
I live in North Miami, 30 minutes from Miami, from the city. I hardly go to the city. I really hardly go. But if I could live really far and fly 30 minutes, is the same as driving 30 minutes.
Well, check out those related Ross groups and the Magic Dragon City. What is it? Dragon Global Magic City, ready to innovate Miami. So you might get the Miami experience a little bit sooner than the rest of us.
I'm not.
If you guys
check
want to ask us what
Dragon City, Dragon Global Magic City Realtors, check that out with Archer.
Like, I want to hit on that point. It went from 4 to 1, to be fair. So that is a collapse. So 75% of anything is a collapse.
Wait.
Correction.
It went from 1 to 4 also, though.
But not
$1.20 to be exact. $1.20. That's where it
went up
bounced.
75%, or went up 75%, then dropped 75%. It's a collapse.
And if you can sell it forward, you just cheerleaded it up and down.
The same
thing.
But
it still collapsed. Tesla still collapsed.
But it's still a good company when it collapsed. When it was at the high, it was still a good company. And it's.
I just want to say this though.
I'm saying it's overvalued, and the market's still.
The bounce spot shows the long term though, right? Because like all the day traders and momentum traders, they got out, but it bounced off of 120. Which was 68 million market cap or so. So it's like that, when it was 40 cents, those were the believers. 40 cents was the believers. It bounced off 120. We've tripled the believers, or you know what I mean. We had 40 cents of believers, then we had $1.20 of believers. You see, so the amount of believers invested, whatever hedge funds or whatever, that multiplied out. So looks pretty good.
If we go back to November 25th. The whole market rallied then. So, like, it wasn't just Horizon rallied back then.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's
I
the
mean,
whole macro controls.
it
everything.
rallied actually. The whole market did rally, but it did, if you look at specific dates, it rallied very specifically from May 15th or 13th. I'm forgetting now, which was their transition flight, and that really legitimized them, right? Like this thing works. And the whole point is once they do their X7 full scale, like we spoke earlier about their 12 to 18 months of runway and cash that you guys were a little bit, quote unquote, maybe concerned about. I mean, we're not, because that's what they need. They need those months of runway to build out their full scale. And once they do, just like how their half scale shot the stock up, brought a lot of attention. He started talking a lot more. Brandon was all out there, and this was happening for real. Once the X7 comes out and it's like, okay, this is for real, this is happening. What do you think is going to happen to the stock? What do you think is going to happen to their capital investors? And like all their capital will increase. All their investors will come flocking down the door.
So
And I mean, this is easily a $500 million company at that point.
So Matan, at that point, I think we have to think also, where are the other eVTOL companies in their stage in the game 18 months from now? And then again, I'm just trying to say for the Hover investors, do keep in mind of the roadmap, where that's going to be awesome if they can get to the full scale with the 12 to 18 million dollars. I applaud that. There's no knock on that. And again, there's more work to be done after that. You're going to have type conforming aircraft. You're going to have a place to build these things out, and it's going to be capital intensive. I mean, we see with Joby and Archer, I mean, these are two companies that steadily want to hold $1 billion cash balance sheet to be taken seriously by the DoD and further, customers. So it's not, I don't know. I mean, again, Archer doubled to 14 and I cheerleaded up and I didn't sell because this is a long-term vision for me. So again, if you're fine buying Hover at 1 and 4 and 7 and 6, it doesn't matter if ultimately you think it's going to be a $500 million company. You're in it for the long run. But if you're only in it to catch these pops of these catalysts, then you're right. Then you're just in it for the money. It's like, you might not like Hover the company, but you might like Hover the money printer. And that's for every individual investor to decide, and how they want to sleep at night and wondering the volatility. And even Adam said in his interview, I think it was at the Up Summit, because nobody really listened to the last 5 minutes of it. He said, if you're going to be in this, you kind of got to be ready for the volatility. There's going to be the ups, there's going to be the downs. And I think that just falls back to individual investor confidence on the company, where it's when it falls back down, there's also things they say where, time in the market is better than timing the market. And that the stock market is the one sale that everybody gets scared and runs away from. So when our company gets chopped 20%, it gets all scared. It's like, oh, we don't want to buy, but then it goes up 10%. We're like, oh, we want to FOMO into the rally. But again, it's like, if your company's fundamentals haven't changed and it's been a macro event that's changed, like again, when the tariffs hit, you got Palantir down to 75. Was there anything wrong with Palantir, the company? Were they going to be victim to tariffs? Probably not, but take advantage if you got the capital.
If you're extremely bearish on Archer Aviation, I just want to know, you're saying that Horizon wasn't overvalued. So can you explain to me why Horizon should be valued at 200 million? So that is what, double today's market cap, or what? 150
That'd be triple.
million? It'd
be triple, yeah.
So yeah, triple.
I said 500, not 200. But
okay, so 500 million. So why should it be valued at 500 million?
He said that when they had the full scale done. He said when they got the full scale done easily. Yeah.
Do you know when I said that it was overvalued and then we collapsed back to where we should be? So when we were up at that height, we were around 200 million. Why should we be at 200 million?
Because he was on Martin Lucas Investor, and this guy does giveaways. I'm surprised he didn't bust out the piano solo. We would have went to $1 billion, for God's sakes.
But see, as you're talking though, and I'm sorry to say this, we interviewed Brandon. I think he's a very transparent guy. I didn't shy away from my dilution question as I posed it as how it would be good to the investor. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'd love to have Adam on our channel and do an interview, but we may not be right size for Adam right now.
You guys trying to reach out?
Hey, Adam, if you're listening, bro. Hey, if you love to come on, you can always call. But my point being is,
did you guys try and reach out to him?
if you're getting PR pumps off Brandon doing Martin Lucas hits and this and that, again, I'm just kind of going back and forth with what I think we started off.
No.
this debate with.
Anthony said that as a joke. I think you're taking it too seriously. Anthony said that as a joke.
Either
I don't know
way,
why
it's all good.
There's no way it pumped because of Martin Lucas. Let's just put that. There's no way.
Yeah, why
who else is
should it be
buying?
valued at 200 million? If that price was right, why should it be valued at 200 million? I can tell you why Archer should be valued at 5 billion. We have 1.8 million in cash. We have all them partnerships I've mentioned earlier on. We have the ARC facility. Like, there's just so much there that you can value, even if we have to liquidate all our assets.
I'll tell you, it's hard to value. What do you value? Potential. Both are pre-revenue. Everything in this, except for beta, maybe they're all pre-revenues. Maybe with the exception of your airport, but that's
it's a
not
200
really
million concept.
Huh?
Really, it'd be a 200 million concept, and that's why the market pulled it back
So
down.
was Archer, arguably a $5 billion concept also.
No, but they have assets that are valued at that, plus they have cash.
But
Again,
that's not
it's
the
a PB
business,
ratio.
right? That's
It's a
not
PB
the-
ratio.
If we,
Price to
that's
book.
what a value of a company is.
No,
but
right. Okay.
I don't
so I'm
plan
talking
on
about
selling my
potential.
hover anytime
Why is-
soon because this is not the correct valuation. I believe it will manifest in the future, down the road. So yeah, you could say the current market cap, because it's fluctuating between $1.20 and upper it hit $1.90, so that's almost double. You know, it's going to be holding 150 million, 120 million, 90 million, 60 around there,
No, but
whatever. I don't even care if
the
it's
answer-
180. It doesn't matter because I ain't
No,
selling
but the
until
answer-
later.
The answer is the same to every company. Why is any company worth what it's worth? It's worth on its potential value. It's not worth what it's worth now. You're not buying a real estate property based on what it's worth. You're buying, on what it's worth in the future. And that's what stocks are, right? Versus real estate. And like how comes Palantir is worth what it's worth? Like it's, how are you going to argue that? Like it seems crazy.
It's
So
a
all about
unicorn evaluation in the Super Bowl market.
And to Mr. Tebow's point here, Archer also collapsed 50%. So,
Because of a fake
I
Tesla
said
rumor.
Archer
Like
collapsed.
we
I
we
openly
said
said
we
Archer
do that.
collapsed.
so
You
were
were
you
the one
guys
that said it was
selling
a
at the
correction.
top or
No.
You were the one that
Because
said it was a
I'm not,
correction.
I
said it was a
held for the
collapse.
whole time. It would be easy. I would have doubled the shares of Archer if I wasn't to be like, oh, I'll sell at the top and it may come back down. But again, that's trying to
Well, there's
predict
no
the
crystal
market.
ball. You didn't sell at the top.
Yeah.
You don't know if it's the bottom.
Ding, 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 ding.
I
All the
don't know if
opponents go
$4,
back to your
$1.
corners.
I
Go
can't
back
give
to
you
your
the
corners.
prediction.
I said the whole market, the whole eVTOL sector goes up and down with the thing. You said that Harvard didn't collapse. I said these all collapse because
I didn't
remember
say
I said
Harvard didn't
Archer goes
collapse.
down to $3.
I said it corrected, not
but it
collapse. Collapse is Lilium. That's a collapse. Collapse.
I'm just happy I got my money in Hover.
is
I could be
Nikola.
blowing it on strippers or something like that right now. So I'm really happy I got it in my portfolio with my Hover.
I like your thesis.
Hallelujah.
I like your thesis, Anthony. Money
Thank
well
you.
spent. Money well spent, brother. But I mean, at the end of the day,
it comes to me to this actually. I ultimately, I'm a shareholder in a company. I own part of the business. Who is running it matters the most to me. That's why I'm a big shareholder in Tesla. Elon is, I think, a genius. I think every decision he makes, as much as people hate him, for the most part, is like 4D chess. And maybe you guys don't like the decisions, but they're good decisions in the macro. He thinks from first principles, and all those same attributes I see with Brandon Robinson. I see with Brian Chesky of Airbnb. This is why I like Airbnb. I don't talk about that too much. I pick specific companies actually based on the founder. I really don't care about subleasing, Airbnbs and stuff. But the founder is a visionary. He's doing things the right way. I like what he's doing. And I see that all those attributes with Brandon Robinson. He really is like the Elon Musk of the space. Jobin as well. I haven't watched too many interviews, and there's not too much online about Jobin. But the little I do know about Jobin also looks pretty good. I just also don't like the design as much, but I have Joby stock. And it comes down to also like not just the person, but also the product they're building, right? So Elon's building a product I believe in. Airbnb is a product I actually believe in. It's whatever. Hover is building a product I believe in, and I think they're doing it better than the competition. And we can argue all the little details and stuff, but it really comes down to like, okay, it's the potential, right? I don't know if it's 200 million, 500 million. These are all just semantics. I can't argue the price. I can't tell you where it's going to be at what time. And that's why all these CEOs also, they don't tell you, right? They can't tell you. They can't make these promises. And I think Adam Goldstein is a little bit on the edge of that, where he's kind of making fake promises. Didn't he say they're going to have 8 aircrafts by end of this year? I don't think that happened. I don't know what other things. What about the whole TIA testing? You mentioned talk about not 3-5 years in the future, but what TIA testing was predicted to be sooner. That keeps getting delayed. I don't know. He's actually giving. I'll let you refute that. What do you say about like all the delays with TIA? And also, a lot of people here have been asking of what threw them off was a whole Tesla PR stunt.
Okay, can I go touch on the Tesla real quick?
Yeah.
I feel bad for anybody in Archer that got into Archer because of a Tesla slam. Let me run the timeline for you real quick. The Up Summit happened. There was a little Instagram video that was shot by Archer. There was robo taxis in front of the Midnight, and there was a shot of the ARC logo shining into the robo taxi thing. That's actually not where the big like rumor started. That was just kind of like, oh, maybe one day the robo taxi will take you to the Midnight. But then we debunked that on the thing because we're like, we don't. It kind of takes the whole point away to have a robo taxi take you to a vertiport to take you to here. So womp womp on that. And then, people had the thing where the Tesla was showing the different airports that it was going to take you to and stuff. And we're like, again, that's not connecting into a vertiport or what the business model is. So timeline on the Tesla rumor, what happened? Elon released a whoosh wheel video. You can go check out our page. They asked me, they said, Dylan, what you think that is? I said, I think that's a car wheel. Then they played the audio and it had this whoosh to it, right? Which sounded like it could have been an inducted fan. What my brain told me was this is an audio that you go and pick where it's like, I want to have a climatic ending. And that's the audio behind it, which again, and not to call out certain high viewered Tesla creators, because they're much bigger than me. So respect to them. They ran like crazy on this being an inducted fan. So I just want to say, at least from my side and the Hustle Brothers side, I can't say that we perpetuated that. And then Nikhil did have a poorly timed picture that he put up next to the Optimus with a big grin and a smile. Give me 1 second, please. With a big grin and a smile. And I think it was very poorly timed because of when that Tesla whoosh video went out, but it was off the tail end of the UP Summit. And I think he got in some hot water with Adam for posting that picture. But when I take a step back, I don't think he was trying to pump the stock. And again, let's go to the SEC filings. Adam ain't sold a share this year. If he thought his company was overvalued, he would have been selling shares. Joe Ben been selling shares. The Joe B. Trust been selling shares on run-ups. My CEO hasn't been selling shares since last November.
Everyone's been selling shares.
So yeah, I'm sorry for those that got caught up in the Tesla run-up. And if you're still holding the bag there, I hope Archer continues to prove through VTOL that they can get back to making that resistance and support. But I'm not gonna lie, like that Tesla run-up, I would say at least 50% on a lot of Tesla creators putting together that was an inducted fan, and for whatever retail or whoever wanted to follow that in, connecting that to Archer. That I just don't pull. Adam never came out and was like, we're working with Tesla. So I don't know. I disagree a bit on Adam perpetuating.
You think was it bad timing, a coincidence then you're saying, or was it purposeful?
Well, they were at the UP Summit. They were putting PR out about the UP Summit. They never directly said anything about Tesla, like by partnering with Tesla. That's us playing the dots together.
Didn't they had the logo like shining in the thing though? It was like didn't they have like it was in the car?
Beside Tesla at the conference.
It was.
Yeah, they got to take responsibility for their actions. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to send mixed signals and stuff, but you never know. Hey, this whole part, maybe they partner down the road. It's not impossible.
But if you listen to, oh gosh, sorry. I think it was either Katy Perry's or Molly O'Shea. Shout out to them both for awesome interviews with Adam.
Katy Perry's, I think.
Sorry, I'm losing my thought. My kiddo, I love him. Love you too. where basically Adam did say, yes, we have this property that has, the SpaceX thing next to it, which I have heard is actually in Texas. So I don't know if that's true or not. But he spoke about the Boring Company. He said that they asked him directly, is there a partnership with you and Tesla coming? And he said, no, there is nothing of I'm paraphrasing right now, but he said there's nothing of a partnership at this present time. But it's not to say that we wouldn't be up to basically help or support Elon if that was to come up. And that was well after the whole Tesla run up, and that didn't cause any crazy spike. But just to clear that up, I think it was a big mess, confusion. I don't put it all on Archer. I mean, maybe Archer could have been like, hey, we're not doing this. But if there is something in the future, then I don't think it was Archer to downplay and, to basically nix something that could come to fruition. And again, when we talk to rideshare, I'm very curious on Google if they may do any merger acquisition, and as they kind of have Waymo looking to maybe add an air taxi network into their fold of business, in the 2030s, 35s.
I think Bears put too much power onto Adam Goldstein, Nurture Aviation. Like, how would he be able to pull the wool over not only like major institutes like BlackRock and ARK Invest, but also pull the wool over Palantir, over United Airlines, over Stellantis, over Secretary Duffy, over Andrew's Eyes? Like,
Yeah,
easy
Adam
connections.
would be a very, very
Is
smart
it
man to
easy?
do all that.
He has connections. He's in the vicinity.
Now, I'd be careful accusing someone of that.
Well, thank God he
speaks
hasn't.
their language. They speak a different language.
But thank God he does, because the biggest leading eVTOL CEO has been banging his head since 2009, and he's been through 4 different administrations with this 1.0 already being. And I'm not even trying to be political, but just in the sense of, we don't have FAA regulations to have these type of aircraft operate. So we can either have nobody having a White House presence and nobody having Secretary Duffy hand the mic to a specific company CEO at the Paris Air Show or the Paris Accord when they're announcing the Five Eyes. I apologize. The whole New Zealand, UK, all that countries that got together on that. And basically giving Adam the mic to say, hey, this is the bat signal for the eVTOL network. I think one thing I look out for, and not to get political, but in the sense where Secretary Duffy, I think, has been a very big champion for the urban air mobility. And he did actually have a very, very detailed presser that came out last Thursday or Friday, and it was basically the plan to run through 2026 through 2036. So I would encourage anybody to deep dive into it. It is on the X page if you want to check it out. And so just again, as we have Secretary Duffy so engaged into the changes of DOT as well as the eVTOL and drone landscape, definitely keep an eye on, if something happens and all these cabinet members start flipping over and, we don't have those kind of cabinet support members. But it does seem across the aisle that there's been a lot more backing in this industry, which again, I think is just net positive. And I think one of the things that I want to say is, like, it's great to go bull bear debate on this, but if Archer doesn't succeed, like, tell me why they're not succeeding, and then tell me why in the eVTOL will be a thing. It's like, yeah, go for it, Ant.
I thought of something bullish about Archer. See, I'm living true to my neutral. I'm living true to the neutral, baby.
What you got, Ant?
Okay, so if you look at Hover, small crew, the correct natural law for a battalion, back-to-back, compact, right down the middle, right? So they're doing one thing. Hover's doing one thing. They're small. They're sticking to it because they can't branch out with, tentacles in all these different directions, right? Bull case factor for Archer, they're very big. And I don't know everything about them, but I do know, military, people from here to here, this and that, different countries. So Archer is so many tentacles in so many directions. It's like that saying, if you throw something at the wall, something's going to stick, right? So it's almost like one of those or multiple of those avenues, mathematically speaking, is bound to work. Like the math is in their favor. Like, is every single avenue they're going to work? I don't know. But at least, like, there's a chance one, like, hey, maybe, like, because our conversations are going to be completely different. When we talk 6 months from now, completely different. When we talk a year from now, completely different. 2 years from now, completely different. We'll be around, right? But that's my thing. Like out of all the tentacles they got going out, something's bound to work, which is at least good. You know what I mean? It's not
I
straight off the
disagree
cliff.
though, because their ultimate business is the aircraft. Maybe they have all these other tentacles. The airport makes money. Maybe they're selling some, stuff to Anduril or whatever. But that's not the core business. The core business is, selling these aircrafts. And I think it's going to fail ultimately is kind of the bear case scenario here. I think their design is flawed. And just like, Enron and Theranos, they seem maybe too big to fail, but it only takes one little thing that isn't working in an aerospace. If it isn't working, it can crash. And who knows what that one thing is, but that is going to be a big thing. And just because they have these other avenues of the business, well, that's fine. When they go bankrupt and liquidate, they can sell those assets. But the potential of the company is not the assets. It's the aircraft. It's not those other assets. And so when we're talking about the aircraft, well, to me, they're a little behind. They're behind Joby.
What
Joby's the more
about
obvious
the
winner.
design?
They should be. Go for it. What's your thing, Lee?
So Archer Defense Daily says, how is the design flawed?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, someone mentioned it up before. The biggest thing is the heavy drag on the thing. And so it's going to have very low range. And so also, like people said, what is the point of it? It's not really replacing a car if it's only traveling a short distance in the city. You have to get to the vertiport in a car, wait to get on the thing. You wait 10 minutes, whatever. You have a little boarding and stuff. All this extra time is already like driving the 30-40-minute distance in the car. Maybe if you're talking about military and other
use cases. You could say the same about Horizon Aircraft. What's the difference between
that's not true, because Horizon Aircraft is not looking to do these short urban air
mobility. So why is it different to an airplane? Or
why is it different to what? Oh, a helicopter.
An airplane or a helicopter.
And you're going to have to get Boeing and Airbus, who's going to give that market share up to this new company, New Horizon.
Why is Horizon different to an airplane or a helicopter?
Well, airplane and helicopter are two different things. So
I said airplane or
helicopter. Let's go after helicopter, because the airplane it's not going to replace. Airplanes are very long distance. These are not going thousands.
Just no runway.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why we're comparing a helicopter.
There's no road for a car with the Midnight.
Oh, if we were doing the airplane comparison, there's only one difference.
I can compare the Midnight with a car.
A hover
there's only one difference
vertiport.
between there's only one difference between a Cab X7 and an airplane. The fact that it doesn't need a runway. That's the only difference.
Yeah.
Right.
What I'm saying is we're comparing Midnight versus a car. I can give you 100.
Who's doing that?
Matan said there'd be no difference.
No. In the correct in the in doing a short, let's say a 10-minute flight from somewhere in New York to or whatever, LA to LA, what is the benefit of that? Maybe only when you're flying there. It doesn't take you the last mile. That's the problem with these things. It doesn't take you where you need to be. It's just like a bus, right? You still have to get somewhere after you get to the bus station. Like you have to get to the bus station, get off, and still go somewhere. This is a much more extreme version of that. Huh?
But buses still work. Bus companies still
I'm
make
giving
it
a progression of a 3D landscape of how, again, traffic and mobility, because just like you said, Matan, we in the populated area I live in, you don't have more build out to build more highways. So again, you're operating under confined infrastructure. And so like, you said you live in the part of Miami. Me and my wife used to travel down there quite a bit. So we landed Miami International. Depending what time our flight got in, that's going to be, as you know, X amount of time to get to South Beach or X amount of time to get to South Beach. And with the business model, Archer's already prevailing with the Palm Tree group, the Palm Tree something with DJ Kygo. and then as well as look at, bro, that's your home area. Please look into Related Ross, Stephen Ross, the build out that they're doing now that they've already had the Cronky backing with SoFi and what that could mean for international expansion. Take a look into Stephen Ross, who owns the Miami Dolphins, who owns Hard Rock, and look at, again, either what you want to look at the mock-up or the future build out, and also take a look at Dragon City Global. So again, for me, as somebody coming to Miami who wants to have value in my time, if I'm landing in Miami International during rush hour, if I can catch a midnight, and again, that might be further down the line. You know, these again at the first use cases might be for the VIP dignitaries, but again, that's going to be basically a time traveler, a time saver, so that I can then get to my destination. And maybe you're right. Maybe I'll have to catch an Uber 1 mile to the Dream Hotel right behind the Versace mansion. You know, that might have to happen for the first.
So if you're, you know, who is the end consumer here? You know, we're comparing. You said, what about buses? Sure, buses. Someone else here said subways, metros, robo-taxis still apply to the last mile. I don't know about robo-taxis. Robo-taxi can take you right where you need to go. But buses, subway, and metros still apply to last mile. Who is taking those? The lower class level of society, because your alternative is a car, and people prefer to use a car or whatever, a taxi or an Uber or whatever. And that is a big TAM, right? Uber is a big company. The car industry is what people talk about. I've never ever heard of a bus company or a metro or a subway company that's like in the stock market that people are excited about, and like what's the future of that? Like those are low cost transportation, and those are also but those are also the least preferred. Those are also the least preferred version of transportation. If you're a really rich guy flying on an Archer, you want to go on a subway right after that.
But I want to remind you what you had the experience with Mark. What did Mark teach you about when you land at the private airport? He said they're gonna have the rental car right there for you, bro. He had the Porsche. Like I hear you, but if it's a VIP flying in, I highly doubt LeBron's gonna be taking the local bus to go to fucking Live Hotel. I'm sorry to cuss. Fountain Blue and go party at Live. You know what I mean? Like this boy's going. Yeah, you know what I mean? This boy. I mean, there's an ecosystem that has to develop. It's not just the aircraft. It's the infrastructure with the vertiports. It is connecting that last mile. You're absolutely correct. But again, if we're trying, it was originally a bull bear debate on Archer, and Hover has been very much put into this. Hover is a regional use case, which is in its infancy. And I hope everybody invested in Hover makes money, looks at the SEC forums, and that the partnerships come as these other companies have had to get the MOUs prior to it coming. And I know you can't liquidate an MOU book, but to a fair market value, Archer's just about as close on the bigger players, I would say, on a dollar average, that in a raging bull market you could get.
Going a little macro, this whole debate right now is just on, is urban air mobility with Archer the right approach? And my whole premise to why I believe what I believe is because not only I think the economics of it don't make sense to me in a city, I think it's the last. Like I said, I think Hover is better positioned because medvac, cargo, military, and all these other different avenues that I can't even think of. I remember there was someone who said there's a research report that's like not private, it's for some venture capital firm or something. There's 60 plus use cases I saw for eVTOLs. And Hover, I don't know how much of the 60 they are, but definitely they're in the 80%, whereas Archer is more in the 20%.
But they haven't got a full scale model. Like, so at the same time, you can say you're 80 of them. At the same time, it's only a concept, where Archer are actually producing these at the moment.
But the point is potential. That's what I'm talking about. We have a huge TAM here. We're talking about 200 million market cap when the TAM is going to 125 billion or 1 trillion by 2040. I mean, these numbers are really minuscule when we're talking about the TAM. And my point is, Hover's possible TAM is within, I don't know how much of that 1 trillion, but they're serving all the use cases. And you know, I don't know how much of that use case is urban air mobility, but I think whatever it is last in line. And it's also like a lot less, like, I don't know how much money that can really make. Like military, government is willing to spend extra money. People like us are very like cautious on, like, you know, that you make decisions on this is expensive or not. Military uses other people's money, or medvac situation, emergency situation. You don't care about the money when you have a you know, you care later, but in the moment you need to get to the hospital. All right, take my money, like save my life, you know.
Liam has
So
had a great. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I was just gonna say on the cost per mile and stuff, and where you talk about, you know, truly the commercial air taxi being the last one to really show profitable liquidity coming out. You know, not to I forget the word, but basically Liam has a breakdown on video of literally cost per mile. But then again, we got to read between the lines of what these companies want to do with the aircraft. And again, Archer was the first one of these ones we talk about that came out and said, we are here to sell the aircraft and we're going to worry about air taxi operation networks later. There were still other companies that said, hey, no, we're holding on to everything and we need to own and operate and do this and that. And it's like, okay, well, you've built the aircraft. It's going to take a lot of 45-minute flights for you to make net zero and break even or go positive, especially on the MRO that you might have to do to those aircrafts while you're trying to recoup whatever that build out on it was, to now having, you know, 6 months later, whatever, a year later, after Archer saying they're doing sale of aircraft, to having competitors fall on the same line and saying, oh, no, we're going to sell aircraft too. So, I don't know. Maybe Adam, again, as the CEO, may not be the PR favorite of everybody, but through the defense program, through having a forward thought of sale of aircraft, the entrance in the UAE actually being first on that, even if it wasn't piloted first, having the foresight to go ahead and say, look, if I can't break through the FAA wall, we have a product that can sell. And I believe that the GCAA will be able to provide us an entry into service. Again, they're the first to do it. And you have other eVTOL companies that are following suit, and they have started their eVTOL business campaign, build, design, 5, 10, whatever years previous to Archer. But I would say over 20, I'll let you in right quick, Anthony. I would say in 2025, if we look back at any of the eVTOL companies, look at the strides that all of these companies have made. I personally, to the share prices I've bought at, any share that I bought in my eVTOL company this year, I bought with confidence in a long-term vision. Sure, are there times when it's like, oh, the stock was 10 and could have pulled back to, you know, but I don't know that's going to happen. You know, it could have been a confirmed VTOL, it's something else. But I'm also, you know, comfortable accumulating the shares as we continue to push forward to see, again, through fruition, because again, we're going to have the Canaries through the UAE and through leading up to LA 2028 on if this is going to be a viable low serviced commercial air taxi network in select cities. And also we'll get the EIPP info. If Miami and LA are selected, we know that's prime spots for Archer. I'm also curious if maybe Ohio will be selected just because of their general, a little bit more kind of open, not as populated landscape. And then also having Joby with the manufacturing there. And then I think there's a lot of other, Ohio's kind of like this defense, like state that not everybody always thinks about, but you have a lot of those government contractors that do work in the state of Ohio. So I don't know that, you know, you have, I think with each individual company, Joby doing piloted flights in Dubai, Archer actually getting a midnight aircraft piloted in the air, Hover continuing to push forward in their build out of their Cavarette. Sorry, I'm going to say that word wrong. You know, it's always easy to be like, man, if I was in quantum this year, that would be a 5x, 5Z. But I don't know. I think in this time, I'm continuing to learn as much I can about the individual company I'm invested in, and also track that to the successes and failures that other companies are having. And just because another company may have started earlier and they're pushing out their product, but having test fails and ultimately having to start over and do redesigns in 2022, even though if they're touted for having the most flight miles, If you're just banging your head against the FAA, but you got a plane that can get to the air, yeah, no doubt you're going to have the most flight miles. I doubt that anybody's ever going to pass a certain company and test flight miles. But then you have that actually can counter to that. Go listen to their first quarterly earnings call, and they talk about how they got the most nautical miles flown. But of course, then you're going to hear the debate that some are CTOL, some are VTOL. So it's like you're going to always have people that are going to pick at that eVTOL company that either they don't like or they're not invested in. But I do think at the end of the day, like it's not going to be an all or bust. It's going to be a 3 to 5 or bust, but it's going to be a 3 to 5 or nothing bust. Like if we can't get through FAA, if we can't prove out in GCAA, and if this goes beyond 2028 and there's nothing coming to fruition, because again, Joby, they're not operating S4s. They're just basically operating Blade, who is doing traditional helis. And then again, we can look at the general TAM on what traditional helicopters as those phase out, and all that for additional, basically as the helicopters turn over, if the eVTOLs are the aircraft. And then again, it's a race to manufacturing and who can be the first one to pump out the 500 plus a year, because then you're going to be able to fulfill your orders. And then again, maybe it won't come down as much to performance. It's about, hey, I can actually get an aircraft from this company. And again, the speed and range is exactly what we need.
And that's where the manufacturing race does come into it. So if you're then able to fulfill your orders, you're able to get more revenue. You get more revenue, you can create more manufacturing facilities, and therefore you're able to produce more. And that way you just suffocate your competition.
Why do you think the Wright brothers beat government?
Do you already know the answer, or is this rhetorical, or do you already know?
Well, I'm asking you. Yeah,
I don't know. Tom Muniz came over from Kitty Hawk, so name drop. He's our chief test engineer. But tell me more about Kitty Hawk. Yeah, what happened with the Wright brothers?
No, my answer is simple. They spent a lot of money, the government, trying to put a bunch of brilliant people versus these people did it in their garage, small, lean, with passion, knew what they're doing.
But how many companies have been smart, lean, passionate about the industry, the best in the sector? Lithium were, and they got crushed.
Were they small and lean? No. The reason they got bankrupt is because they were not lean.
But they were the best. They were the best by far.
Fine.
Engineering.
Fair enough. They were the best by what measure?
The engineers were good. But you got to talk about the guys in the finances, the guys at the very top, because you want
that's my point.
What about the engineers were good?
Making the decisions. They maybe hire the right people, but the decision to use these tiny little electric jets is their ultimate reason they actually died off. Versus maybe if they were to do ducted fans or some other method, who knows what.
What about their engineers were good?
Huh?
What about their engineers were so good? The designs. Yeah? Who has their designs? Who has their patents? Archer Aviation.
See, so they were good.
But I literally said how their designs are the reason they failed.
Yeah,
Right
the design was good. I don't
their
think
design is sexy. That's why it maybe got some attention. Their design is sexy. It didn't work. So by what measure is it good?
It did work. There's videos of it flying.
Not full scale.
But you can say the same about Horizon Aircraft.
That's true. But that's my point that
we're not bankrupt yet.
I'm betting Horizon not only has the right design, they have the brilliant mind of Brandon Robinson, who's taking them within the right decisions. It's the CEO making the business decision, and then the hires are doing the engineering and the work. But it's the decision to do fan in wing versus open rotor. That is a huge business decision that completely changes the.
But Matan, you ask Mark, how hard is it for Archer to replicate just that in-wing design? It's only to do with the angle.
Fair enough.
So Archer tomorrow.
Fair enough.
Brandon said it himself.
Fair enough. And to my point, then, who's to say that Archer will pivot to that? They will only pivot once it's too late and it's obvious. Like right now, it's obvious. To one of the comments earlier said, everyone's going from electric to hybrid, and then they will go back to electric in like 10 years. Everyone's going to hybrid now. Brandon Robinson had the foresight to do hybrid from the very beginning, rather than Archer making all these mistakes and now going to hybrid.
But they haven't
Was it-
pivoted.
was it-
They're
was
still
it
Once
going with
fan and
Trevor.
wing, if
was it
fan and
pulled
wing
back?
is the obvious decision and it becomes standard, Archer will maybe then pivot and do fan and wing. But
We
hover's
don't know.
already there, and we
But-
don't know. But our bet is that hover is the standard.
But
It's a
with
good thing they
everybody-
got the patented, canards too. It's all good, and it's fine. Like, we're gonna have this conversation in the future, and if years from now Archer's flying around, looking identical to hover, then yeah, so be it. Like, I'm not too worried about it. But you did say something earlier, Liam. Since we're having this debate, you said, but they don't have a full scale. The only two things people say about them is they don't have partnership and they only have the half scale. Now, obviously, the partnerships would come if they had the full scale, like, obviously, right? So let's just say, I just want to know a yes or no answer from both you guys, Dylan and Liam. Yes or no answer. It's got wheels. They're putting a PT6. It pushes. It's got wings. Fan and wing design to go up, and we're good. Do you guys, yes or no? Do you guys think that they are going to be able to build a full scale?
I would have to say it depends on the cash, but what I want to bring back is to Archer, where again, when they had Maker, that was at 80% to scale design. They did shift because they didn't feel that a sub 4,000 pound aircraft was going to be able to basically do the payload. So I think again, what I'm hearing is just a little bit of splitting hairs where, okay, Brandon could have this genius idea, but he didn't go through the trenches that Joe Ben went through in 09, 2010 through 15, having to fail and learn and be at those conferences and bang his head against the table. And I'm not saying he had some cheat sheet to come into the industry, but the later you come in as a player, you're able to see in certain ways what does and doesn't work. And just one other thing I'd like to say real quick is I think one CEO, if we're talking about CEOs, I think one person that we've neglected to talk about is a Mr. Kyle Clark. That man, to me, he's got the charisma and he's got the size that he could beat up Adam, and he's got the smarts and the engineering that he could like go toe to toe with Joe Ben. And say what you will with him against Brandon. Against Brandon. But I think Kyle Clark is an amazing addition, CEO to the eVTOL space as well. So I think Beta, just really quick, I think after IPO lockup, it'll be interesting to see because it has a very short float, but yada yada. But yeah.
I'm a simple guy.
So you want a yes
Brandon
or no?
Robinson has said we have enough money to build the full scale. He has said that. So let's just package that into one concept, right? So partnerships aside, that comes when we build it. Finances aside, because he said they can do it, right, with what they got. So yes or no answers. Do you guys think that they can build the full scale?
The full scale demonstrator, yes.
So your answer is a yes.
The demonstrator, I don't believe. No, look, mass
42-foot
manufacture-
wingspan, 6,000 pounds.
without dilution. I don't actually believe they'll get that now.
No, but okay. So your answer is no, because Brandon Robinson has said we have enough money in the runway to build the full scale demonstrator. He has said this about a dozen times. So you're saying you don't think they can do it?
I don't think they can do that without diluting. No.
And let's
I
even
don't think cash
let's
is
even
a
give a little
problem.
cushion. What if they got to dilute a couple million
Anthony,
bucks,
forget
2
this
million?
question. Forget this question. Cash is not a problem. We're not concerned of that. Maybe if they are, fine, whatever. I think what's more concerning is will it work? Will you believe it works? And to me,
That means can they build it?
to me, let me phrase it simply like this: who do you think knows more about building an aircraft, Adam Goldstein or Brandon Robinson?
But
To
do
me,
you
the
want your
answer-
CEO on the floor working as an engineer, or do you want them actually running the business?
Yes,
while
I
the
want an
CEO 's
Elon
doing the
Musk
work?
type CEO that's not only
Elon
can do
Musk
the
does not
engineering,
do
You're
that.
not gonna-
Elon
but
Musk
he's a
done that
business-
once for a PR stunt. That is not what Elon Musk does.
Actually,
Elon is
in an
engineer, bro.
organization,
He is an
in an
engineer. He thinks from
organization, the
first
guy at the
principles.
top should be able to do every job below him, and
Yep.
every person above a division should be able to know and do every job under them, because A,
It's a
they have to know
beautiful-
if it's being done right, and B, that's the definition of a team, knowing what the other teammates are doing, and you can predict their movements.
But it's not doing
That's
it
what
for
you
them.
get.
Brian Chesky of Airbnb can replace any person in his company. He says he can go and do every job, but he doesn't
He
have
can,
to,
but you want
and
him
he
to,
shouldn't, and he should have people better at that job. He just has, my point to Brandon Robinson, he has a breadth of knowledge on all these things, and he can apply that to making the big decisions,
Top
not actually
G.
building
He's a
it.
top G.
Elon Musk doesn't need to build the rockets, to that guy's point. Yes, he doesn't build the rockets, but he makes the decisions. He knows what needs to be done. Like, have you seen him talk about the stuff? He knows what the hell he's talking about.
You can have Allen Iverson on the team, who's my favorite player, and you can see it behind me, and he can score 40, 50 points a game. He can step over Tyronn Lue, and he can win game one. But sometimes when you got to go up against the Lakers in a 7-game series, you need a Phil Jackson at the helm, and then you need somebody that knows how to pass the ball too.
I don't know any basketball stuff, to be honest, but what I do know is a lot of coaches aren't past players, right?
Some of the worst coaches, no, actually some of the best players. That's why MJ don't coach, because some of the best players can't pass on that knowledge. But I think we're talking about two different things.
MJ doesn't coach; he owned the whole basketball team.
Anyway, but he drafted Kwame Brown. So, anyways, we'll divert to sports later. But my point being is, you don't like Adam because he's a venture capitalist CEO that doesn't come from an aerospace background. That's what I'm hearing, and that's cool, man.
But none of us here come from aerospace background.
But the reason I don't
talking about this, if we go on that principle.
True.
Well, the reason yes, I agree with you, Dylan. But the reason I don't like that is because it makes his decisions different, and ultimately, I think he's not making the right business decisions, being that he's trying to grow it as a more venture capital, like grow the TAM, grow his
again. You can have Lyft or you can have Uber, which both start with a general vision or a mission, and then you got Lyft with the $7.76 billion market cap. Congrats to them. They've been able to retain stealing the yellow taxi network thing. Or then you got Uber, who's like, oh, let's snap on Uber Eats to that. Let's get Uber Black. Let's there can be expansion on business,
but expansions decisions were made by who? Travis Kalanickis. How do you say his name? Uber started the industry. Lyft didn't start it. Lyft was a copycat. Hence, they just copy. They can't innovate and make new and make the right business.
You're saying Lyft couldn't say, oh, I want to have Lyft Eats if we had the capital and we could actually make the connections, and somehow that Uber is anyway. So if that's fine, disagreement.
I'm not saying that they can't do that. I'm saying it's different that they're a copycat versus the ones doing it first. And and the hybrid decision that Brandon's doing, the fan and wing, all these are first, and then maybe you'll have everyone copy them.
Well,
we can say about Elon Musk as well. So do you think Elon Musk's on the floor in X? I agree he's a good CEO of X, but is he on the floor in X, going around doing every job?
Well, X is, he doesn't need to. He bought X for a different reason.
Adam doesn't.
He bought X for a different reason. And what is he doing with X? He's making the big business decisions. He's not doing the stuff, right? He's turning X to having all the extra stuff you have in X. Now you have Grok, XAI. You have right. He turned it into like the Clubhouse. Now there's a Clubhouse version on X. These are decisions of what to do. He's not writing the code, right? Just like Sam Altman isn't writing the code, like the guy said.
So he's not the engineer.
Sam Altman.
So you don't want him to do that. You want him to make the big business decisions to make money, because at the end of the day, we're investing to make money, and that's why I prefer a businessman doing it than someone.
It's like we're comparing players. It's like this guy can shoot, this guy can slam dunk. They all have skill sets differently. Adam Goldstein, business school. All these financial institutions he's been with, he's probably really good with money. He's probably really good with the business side of things. That's cool. Is he super awesome at slam dunking aerospace concepts? I don't know. Mathematically speaking, probably not, but he's probably learned a lot since he's been at Archer. I'll tell you that. But I'll tell you this. Anybody can go to a college and get a business degree. Anybody can learn how to cut some papers up and do that. But the knowledge that Brandon has, this is invaluable. Like, this guy knows what the military wants before they want it, because he lived it. You see what I'm saying? So it's
how many engineers went to the military and could do the same thing if they wanted to?
I don't know, probably a lot.
Like,
you know what I mean?
Anyone could get a business degree. Anyone could work in the military.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that, like, it matters either way. I'm just saying that two things. Like, we can't say Hover doesn't have good use cases. We can't say that. They don't have partnerships yet. Fine, they're coming. They have said they got enough money in the bank to make it, and will it work? So, Liam, I never got a straight answer. And then let's say they got what, 17, 18 million in the bank. Let's say they got to raise another 5 million or something like that to get a new wheel or something. Who cares? Do you think they're going to be able to make it? Yes or no?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Beautiful. Dylan, do you think they're going to be able to make it? Do you think we're going to see a Cav X7 in 12 to 16 months looking beautiful? You think yes or no?
The reason I'm gonna say yes is because I see a global expansion in this type of travel, and I see Hover as the leading, or New Horizon as a leading aircraft maker, producer, the one with the most optimistic future on that side of the border. If they were doing something in other places with that cash or run rate, I don't know if I'd say the same thing. But when Brandon's talked about if they do go insolvent, there's something about a one-time Canada bankruptcy, like backing or something like that. So he really didn't care if he went insolvent. But I know that none of these other stocks, even though they've been choppy, none of them were facing delisting in 2025. It's great that Hover came out of that. I mean, I just have to, it's a company in its infancy. And just like I had to learn when I was comparing a little bit of Joby to Archer, Archer didn't start when Joby did. And I don't expect them to TC first. Now, and I don't expect that. But if you are going to be the industry leader, but when I do say Archer is an industry leader, it's in the business decisions and the business units that Adam has created. This wasn't Joe Ben going out and saying, oh, I need an L3 partnership so I can do my experimental aircraft and have a DOD and bring defense money. This man just want to, as far as I know, run an air taxi network. Adam was the one that was like, we need revenue through the door. How does this happen? Oh, I can go to the GCAA. They have a lighter restriction on that. I've now gotten into Ethiopia Airlines. Like,
what's GCAA? What's GCAA?
Yeah, sure. So it's the FAA version of the UAE. They're pretty close aligned, and the good thing about getting some runway or getting some flight, Joby or Archer, any of them, is the shared flight data. So basically, that can translate back to the FAA and hopefully prove out again the safety protocols that have taken place. And again, with Archer, if they need to be 6 months slower so that they're performing with a safe aircraft, like I'm cool with that. It's something that I wouldn't want them to risk. And Adam has said since easily last summer, where he's like, safety comes first, and I'm not putting a pilot in the seat until I feel like it's safe. And I'm not trying to beat the dead horse, but we've seen other aircraft companies in this space where that was not, that for whatever reasons, the outcome was different. So if we started 2022 fresh slate, accidents at zero, again, other companies can claim top flight mileage because they've been in the game longer, and Archer's never going to catch that test mileage, and that's fine. But that same company's selling it at a 15-to-1 price to book ratio. So again, if you have a long-term vision on this, and if you see Joby being valued at 150 billion, then that's your 10x. I don't know if I see that coming in the near future. Do I see an opportunity through different income avenues and revenue avenues for Archer to, and again, I tell Liam this all the time. Archer's at $8 right now. Any shares I buy, if Archer ends the year next year at $10, that's 20% that you've made on a speculative stock with a whole lot of beta. Like, I know we don't want islands and you retire early and all that. But you can get the multiples. It's going to be through execution, and that basically is what's going to propel this network to basically have a cascading effect and become a true UAM network. And all these use cases, hypothetical or real, are going to have to get proven out. I mean, Joby, they weren't even able to get the blade. They weren't able to get the kidney part off blade when that acquisition happened. So it's like they got that. So Joby's technically the first one with revenue through the acquisition of blade that was brought in on the last quarter. But if you're gonna be the industry leader, do it right, hopefully.
You can't deny, though. We can't act like Brandon Robinson's just some farm boy hanging out in front of the oddly painted hangar. it's like if you listen to the guy talk, he's talking about investment bankers like sharks coming after him, and they're not taking bad deals because they know it's good. It's like if you're
Well,
desperate.
he's not saying though that that Brandon Robinson and Hover are he's not. We're talking about Archer though. He's not saying that
Yeah, we're not
going down.
anti
Yeah,
it,
No,
right?
right.
no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. I'm sorry, I explained. This is what I meant earlier. I forget who said it. Somebody said when we were comparing CEOs, and it was
Yeah.
like, it was like, but Brandon has all this experience, and then there was a rebuttal about that, and then I said the whole thing about it's not very difficult to get a bachelor's degree in some business. Like it's easy. You know what I mean? That's my point. Um, it's not like we can't deny like the guy's a sharp dude. Like if the way he's like the investment bankers are coming, they're trying to give us a bad deal, then they're going to short the stock and get all their money and stuff like that. But it's like
I
they
don't think it's just a business degree is where Adam is where he is. Like he
No, of
like
course not.
yeah, like they all obviously have high aptitude and probably high IQs, and they're all very intelligent people. Notice how it says neutral down there. You know what I mean? Like I like what Dylan was saying earlier. How and I noticed that the other day myself because I was thinking about it, and I was like, I like how they are making it known. Like, yeah, we do have batteries, and sure, it might not work great in these cold areas all the time, stuff like that, but we'll be 365 days a year in Miami, minus hurricanes and lots of rain and whatever. But like, so I do see that they're navigating. Like, there are some solutions to what they're talking about and stuff like that. And but I just wanted to point that out. Like, it's like we're comparing. See, yeah, it's like saying who's better. Magic Johnson or Jordan or something. It's like whatever. Like they're both cool. Like
Well,
obviously he's turned Archer into what he's turned it into. It's almost like once you expand, you don't want to explode from the expansion. Like you don't want it to be just like a dumpster fire. If you expand, you have to channel that expansion into productivity and actually getting there. You know what I mean? So like we're halfway there, like they've expanded and stuff. If they could channel it all and get it through. I like Hover's design better because you can run it more weather and less moving parts and stuff like that. But like I'm not like anti like, I did learn from you guys, I think, that Joby's theirs is this way, but then like Archer's theirs has to move more. So that's why like Joby's design is a little bit more like in stone a little bit and acceptable and workable. And then like there's a lot of debates about the drag with the back and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So like yeah, I just thought that was interesting. That's my two. Now you guys can duke it out some more.
No, just real quick thing when you mentioned the basketball thing, and for you, Anthony, you might this it's like if you don't have Dr. J, do you get the skyhook, and all this progression. So it's like if you didn't have Magic, would you get Mike and the way that he played? And if you didn't have LeBron growing up watching Mike, or Kobe, even if you didn't have Kobe growing up watching Mike, would you get the same Kobe they get now? So just in that sense of hopefully as these companies continue to go forward, and whether it's even like for the companies that are smaller, like the Supernals, I got like 3 aerospace companies that are like 20 minutes south of me in Virginia, they're not on the, they're just underspoke about, and probably at the end of the day, they'll be acquired, or, they're not going to make it to the mainframe and, to this final stage of what we're going to end up seeing as the consumers on that level. But yeah, it's, I think with the Archer, it was the debate between the 2 versus 4 rotor blades, and it was confirmed on the last, if not last, quarterly call. Sorry, to mix them up in my head. Everybody was concerned about this redesign. To me, I take more of the rotors, the aft props, more into like a SDC. So basically, you're not changing the airframe. It's still it's still going to look the same. And they've already shown the videos from the UAE where they're actually using the 4 prop to get the plane vertically into the air. So, I think what we can do is look and see what these companies put out. And if Archer was putting out no PR, I'd have no clue what they were doing. So in some ways I have to appreciate, as much as it may, sicken others, to see Archer videos every day or every other day. I'm getting an insight into what's going on at the company and how that prop blade change truly made, and how far are we in the UAE unpiloted test phase, and that test phase campaign. but yeah, I think it's again one where I usually try to say like we can all be divided in the eVTOL company that we like love in our hearts the most, but I don't know if us as investors are so divided on this, like what do we think the regular population that has never heard of this and is not invested in this is like gonna do once it's an eVTOL out? Like I don't know. Again, it's more of like band of brothers. Like I think it's healthy to debate, kind of who's in the lead and maybe what do we see in the company that they could be doing better. I mean, there's always something. I mean, these aren't type certified aircraft, so there's something that everybody could have been doing better on their individual timeline, their cash spend and how they're doing. But again, if we're looking at this as an emerging industry, this industry isn't here yet. So if we track it back to like the railroads and stuff, if you were there to invest in the Amtrak or CCX, whatever it would be, that random year 1950, you probably would have saw your growth year of returns, as opposed to now it's bring you probably a 2% or year over year.
Should have
or
sold.
No, but that's because that's just how every new technology happens. It's an S curve, right? It's already fully adapted, and then now it's just stagnant, right? But it's already adapted. Car industries in an S curve, it's already adapted. Now it's EV industries that everyone talks about, right? Ford and all these other companies are down for the most part, like stagnant, right? They're not growing. Every new technology, and this is a new technology, and we are in the beginning of the S curve, and we're riding the wave. The big bet here is, like just like all these technologies when they started, there were a ton of airline companies, a ton of car companies, and now there's just a handful. Like there are multiple, there's not a monopoly necessarily, but there's really a handful. And that's where we are with this, I think. It's just going to consolidate to just a handful of companies. And Adam Goldstein said it himself, actually. Like there's tons of companies, but I heard him, he said on an interview, in 10, 20 years, there's really only going to be like 3 to 5 companies that are actually going to be operating
that long. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
No, you're right.
And you know what? It's very likely, to Archer's defense, it's very likely that them and Joby are going to be one of those 3 to 5 because they're already at the top. They're already the biggest, and they can pivot easily and keep going. My big bet here is I think Hover's doing it right. I like everything I see. They're small. They have 100x potential. I don't see 100x with these other ones. Maybe a 10x, which is also good. But as a young guy, as a long-term investor, I'm looking for my next 100xer. Not a 10xer. I did get my 10xer with Palantir, and I won't complain. I'm happy about that. But I'm looking for a 100xer to really change my life, because a 10xer is nice, but a 100xer really changes your life, I think.
And
I thought of a bull case for Archer, new one. It's a sector bull case, but also for Archer.
Yeah.
I feel these companies, they do hold the cards close to their chest a little bit, and FAA regulations and all that stuff. Like it is interesting that they're in Dubai doing all these things. So it would be cool, like for their success and so forth, they would be smart to, as much as possible, pump these things out into places they don't need the certification and all that kind of stuff. Just get them out there. You know what I'm saying? So that is kind of cool. Like even Hover is going to be doing something like that, because Brandon talks about the military doesn't need the FAA certification as long as it works good. You know what I mean? So that is cool. Like that's something in their favor. Like that is one of the tentacles that they can let it rip on.
Yeah, and it's definitely a backdoor to support the liquidity in the company, and it's again finding those paths to early revenue. Again, and again in something where, yeah, it's an emerging industry where we're trying to support it. We're here early, but and just to Matan, not like to beat you up thing, but just again, I think CEOs. But I feel like I knew you were kind of like a nice bull with Palantir, but I love Carp. Was in the same boat with you. But I don't know if Carp can FDE out every boot camp. I'm not saying. I mean, he's extremely intelligent, and I listen to his interviews. I know a lot about Carp. He can do a lot, but I know we're kind of in this wave and age where it's like the CEO is so vertically integrated with the company, and because Rocket Lab is vertically integrated, and Elon and Tesla's vertically integrated, it's like that's the new way. But there are pros and cons to both sides of it, you know. I mean, on the other side, if you're not vertically integrated, you're going to have, you know, your bear case with Archer is you can have a supply chain constraint. You know, if something messes up with GKN, well, that's your wing and your wing electronics provider, you know. And so we got problems, you know, if 2026, 27 comes and something happens to GKN and their build out. But even on that, most recently, and Liam, feel free to fill in the gaps I missed, but it was something with Andrew UK and the partnership with GKN to further advance the NYX So again, it's just something where, again, I'm taking from Adam where sometimes what he can say on an earnings call can confuse me and maybe even deflate me for a little bit. But that's where I go back. I listen like 3 times, take very diligent notes. And with him, again, I know I'm not trying to be repetitive, but sometimes it's going back a year from where we're at now and seeing if what he said came true. And yeah.
Guys,
Here,
you know what? I've actually
let me read this real quick.
Yeah.
Smash the subscribe button. The Hustle Brothers said. We
Yeah,
have
very good.
206 people watching. That's crazy. Is this
That's
on
awesome.
X mostly?
Guys,
That's-
jump across to
that's
Matan
right.
there now. Matan is
Yeah.
a big bull on this whole sector. I know we have been doing a bull in the bear case on Archer Aviation, but Matan does cover not only Horizon Aircraft, but he does cover the whole eVTOL sector, and he covers some really nice companies too.
Yeah.
You can always find Anthony there on Matan's channel.
Nice.
I've really enjoyed this, you know. I wouldn't mind doing
Yeah.
something like this weekly where we debate something, whether it's Archer, whether it's Horizon Aircraft, whether it's Joe B, whatever.
Yeah.
So
Maybe
could
we just
start
need to
doing
pick an end time because we picked a start time.
Yeah.
Well, when you start talking these eVTOLs, man, it's, you know, it's hard to stop talking. And actually, bull case for maybe them all. If we only had 30 minutes of stuff to talk about or debate about, we might be shallow on, you know, what we might upcoming in the industry and the sector as well. So I mean, yeah, anyway, this is where I get like the emotional stumble where it's just like it's awesome that we do have so many upcoming catalysts to look at, to highlight for, to sit back on 2025, regardless of what your stock share did or your stock price did. What did your company do that year? And did it move forward? Did it move backwards, or did it stay stagnant? And I think I can say for all 3 players of what we're and at beta, so all 4 players and vertical as well, the five players that are off the top of my head, all made positive progressions. We have an EIPP, something that was never on the table before. We're gonna, in less than a month, in about a month, start hearing the cities that are disclosed for the EIPP. Come this summer, I believe we're supposed to start hearing the actual companies that are going to be in the EIPP.
No,
as
I
well.
think January right now. In a month.
I'm hoping January. I did hear a caveat it was the cities, but I'm not gonna lie, Matan, if they also released the companies, super happy about that because ever since they were talking about the EIPP in June of 25, June, July, was very excited for, you know, because again, it's, you know, and I don't want to be an Archer homer, you know, I do want to look at them with the clearest lens possible. You know, I do like Joby as a company. I just personally think that the market cap for today's purchase price is a little stretched for me, just with other things that I see in the market that I can maybe grab at that same purchase price. But again, you know, 5-10 years from now, buying Joby in the 13 through 17, will that be a bad buy? Could be bad, could be great, could be phenomenal, and could be stagnant. You know, I don't know. But
putting price aside, though, I think a beautiful conclusion. Oh, if you look at the last year, all of these companies advance in what they're actually doing, the assets they have, and everything, the progression with certification and all. So yeah, if you don't look at the price, all of these advance, and that is good news to the industry, to these individual companies. I think that is, I agree with you there. I think that's a beautiful point.
Yeah, we went 15 rounds. Ding, 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 ding. 15 rounds. I'm gonna say
I love this. Do you know
split
what? Love this.
decision. Split decision. All winners.
No one got knocked out. Like
I like that. I like
But
that.
this is it. You can have a heated
Yeah.
debate. You
Yeah.
can do it all, but everyone is friends at the end. It's all respect. Guys, we will be doing a Archer versus Joby debate tomorrow. I don't expect that to go as I don't know,
Friendly.
polite.
Polite. There you go.
But,
Insert word. Yeah.
guys, you're welcome to jump on live here if you want to tomorrow. Anyone that's in the comments, look, we'll be running a spaces open to absolutely everyone, completely free. All you have to do is bang the subscribe button and be following us on X, because I'm gonna set it so only followers, just so I can kick people if it gets a bit rowdy. Do bang that subscribe button on both channels, both the Hustle Brothers and Matan's channel there. I am going to do a giveaway here. I'll do it as we speak, because if not, I'll forget about it, my guys. Look, I want to say a big thank you to both Matan and Anthony.
Absolutely.
You were brave coming on to a channel. We have 210 people watching us at the moment. That is heavily invested in Archer Aviation and coming on as bears. Ye put yourself across very, very well. I want to thank you for coming on, having a debate. Matan, do you want to give any shout out to your viewers there at the moment?
Thank you to anyone watching, all the Hover folks. I've been seeing you guys in the comments, debating with the people in the comments. This has been a lot of fun. This has been the longest live stream ever, and I just hope you all enjoyed. I mean, the fact that we have 200 people, that's a record to me. I don't know, is that the high? You guys have done higher than that? That seems like a lot.
We've had 1,500 at one stage, which was scary.
What? Really? What?
Yeah.
Who was on the live?
That was for Archer Aviation's Arms. I think it was Q2 this year or something.
Damn,
if we do the next one with all of us with our shirts off, easy money.
You know,
easy money.
Anthony leads the show. I love it. I love it. I love it. He's got that.
Anthony, you want to wrap us up with a little Archer song, maybe?
Oh, sing me a song.
Oh shit. Give me a second. I gotta let it marinate. I'll tell you if I got one.
I love it.
Okay, winners of the gifts. We have Vast CNC. I'm actually so happy Vast
hey, Vast. Yes.
Do a lot of work in the drone space. Do make sure to follow Vast CNC on X. Dieter, you're a member again.
Nice.
Stocks and Stacks, Craig Carter 98, and ZW5000. Look, guys, if you want to be in chance to win a membership, we're doing the same thing again tomorrow. Matan, Anthony, if you're free, you're welcome to come on board for that. Dylan, my guy, always thank you so much for being here.
Love you, man.
Don't worry, there's no song. Don't worry, there's no song. I only sing for those I love. I only sing for those I love.
One day.
I like Archer, but it's not in here.
That's
Sing me a Hoffa song.
Oh, dude, you already heard it. You heard it. You know how it goes.
Sing it for us.
We have the O'Donna. You remember O'Donna? Remember that song from the 50s, right? You just flip it and it's Oh Brandon, baby. Yeah.
I love it.
Right,
I love
guys.
it.
Tomorrow we may have him sing a song for us. But yeah, my name's Liam, one of the Hustle Brothers, here doing God's work with co-host Dylan. And then we have both Matan. Make sure to jump across. Bang that subscribe button for him. And yeah, we will have Anthony singing us a song tomorrow. Horizon Aircraft. Brandon.
I'm going to wrap up with my quick go-to before you wrap up.
Yeah, go
Everyone,
for it.
my Hover fans, stay thinking, question everything, and peace out. Liam.
Guys, you don't get nothing that cool from me. My name's Ian, one of the Hustle Brothers. We'll see you tomorrow for the live debate. Do jump across to X if you want to take part in that. Right, guys, until then.